Yeah, well, I'm back. As much as I could, thanks. I was like, if we're going live, I'd preferably go as soon as possible. Why are you talking like that?
I need to make sure that the chat balloons stay on screen, Rhett. I need them to stay. You say, I only hear what
Hi there.
I want to. Hello.
Coming through, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yep.
Good.
We are live. I'm just making sure all the chat stuff is fine. All right. It looks like we're good. Okie dokie. All right. People are piling in, John. They're here to listen to us talk about things. That's crazy. That's wild.
Oh, yeah. It's just because we have such great takes.
Is somebody's mic muted? I don't think anybody's mic's muted.
I'm not muted.
Nah,
I'm not muted.
We are all talking.
Oh, we're talking.
There's so many words flying out of our mouths right now. It's ridiculous. So ridiculous. So crazy. Who thinks of this stuff? But yeah, we're getting people piled in. We got a little something special that we'll be starting the show with here in a few minutes. I think everybody will be very happy with. I'm happy. I don't know why I keep doing that.
You're channeling it sounds like you're becoming Southern.
I know. Like, suddenly the fact that I was born in West Virginia is very fucking obvious.
Is it ever obvious that I was born in Coma, Georgia?
Oh my god. Like, I always get that like people are just like, there's no way you're from West Virginia. And I'm just like, nah, I seriously was. No, you don't have the accent. It does come out sometimes, though. Like, it's just like, you remember, what's his name? Teru in Danganronpa 2, where, like, when he starts getting agitated, he goes into that gosh dang old accent!
Yes.
And that's sort of, I think that's the sort of thing that happens to me, like, when I get especially excited about something or something, I think it's, like, suddenly words start taking, like, a southern drawl.
It's very good. It's very good and wholesome. And
all
and
down.
nice.
That's my anime girl tick right there. That's my thing. Like, I suddenly go into the dialect and it's like, uh-oh, Polly can't, she can't cover up where she's from again.
Is that a real anime girl tick? I feel like it should be some. I feel like it should be something like you like rice.
Yeah.
That's your thing.
You carry a slice of pizza in your pocket at all times. Why does she have pizza? But there was nothing taken out of the pizza.
No, I see anime mention like, oh, you have an Osaka accent.
Yeah, you have the
all
Osaka
the time.
accent. Yeah, like that's the big one.
And I've never been able to hear the difference.
I mean, if you know a bit more about Japanese and how it's spoken, like, you will definitely hear it. Yeah. Like, I can definitely hear it now, having studied Japanese for as long as I have. Yo! Look at that. We got a Jet in our chat. Say hello to Yami. How's it going? Jessica, I'm not sure what I should call you. When in a live setting, because some people are weird about that. Some people have me call them one thing one place and one thing the other. So sometimes, all right, Jess is fine. Jess is our favorite podcast duck. I don't have any duck sounds on hand to make this a momentous occasion.
Hi, Jess.
All right. So is everybody ready for a show? We're ready to get going?
I'm
as ready as we can be.
Ready as I'll ever be. That's from Tangled.
A reference we would definitely get.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's a character. There's a Rapunzel character in the game that I'm playing right now. She has long hair.
Well, there you go.
So it's basically.
I mean, it's basically Ruby, right? That's kind of the vibe I get from every screenshot.
All right,
another reference Ruby. We don't get.
I think you get that one. Rhett.
All right.
Hi, Monty.
Okay. Hi, Monty. So I know this is where we typically do a cold open and then we roll into an episode, but we're not doing that this time. We got something a little extra special, something that kind of just came in last week, and it was enough to completely change the dynamic of how we do a podcast, at least one time, because you hear it all the time. We're coming off of E3 season. Who's familiar with that ever so effervescent and iconic world premiere? Right? We're all used to that. We're getting ready to have one of those right here, right now. So get your ear holes nice and perked up and have yourself a listen. In 3, 2, 1, go. For a hot new podcast opening jam coming straight from our good pal Taylor, who composed our previous theme, We Are the Only Ones That Love You as well. Welcome to a new era of the podcast. So I want to make you two feel really old right now.
Oh, don't worry. That happens all the time now.
You can't look it up. So just keep your browser where I can see it, motherfucker.
Okay.
Keep them browser hands where I can see them or I'll break every goddamn finger. Okay, so that's our new theme. When do you think we started using our previous theme, We Are the Only Ones That Love You? Do you give me an episode number or a date? Either or.
2014 is like as close as I get. I'm going to say episode 20.
Okay.
I'm going to say April 2015.
All right. I'm going to give that to Rhett. The correct answer is the previous theme debuted on April 3rd, 2016 on episode 40, episode 42.
Only a year off.
which is like, we're now on episode 141. So that theme has done us well for an incredible run of episodes from April 3rd, 2016 to August 1st, 2021. Thank you again, Taylor, for the amazing work you did, not only on our now retired We Are the Only Ones That Love You theme, but our new, amazingly awesome and rockin', way too goddamn serious for the stupid podcast that we do, but that's why I love it.
Does the new one have a name?
Yep. It does. It's called It's the Podcast. It's the only podcast.
Oh, okay.
It's the only podcast. Which is true. Like, we literally are the only podcast.
You know, we used to be the only podcast that talked about video games. Now we're just the only podcast.
Now we're just, everybody else just kind of dropped off. They got bored of it, but not us.
Yeah.
Not your good pals at the Sockscast. We stuck with it. We're going to ride this motherfucker into the ground. Welcome to episode 141, everybody. What a fantastic burst of energy to get us started. Just fan-fucking-tastic. Love the new theme. We hope you do too, because you're going to be hearing a lot of it from now on. For at least 5 years.
Yeah.
Do To my immediate virtual right, he's the kind of G the little homies want to be like. It's Rhett.
Hi.
How's it going?
Going good, I guess.
Tentatively good.
Hey, Polly, are you familiar with the game Henry Stickmin?
Yes.
So there's an evil organization in that game, the Top Hats.
Mm-hmm.
And then the strongest character, like, in the series is known as the Right-Hand Man.
Mm-hmm.
So since you always introduce me as, like, on my virtual right, I'm like, oh, I'm the Right-Hand Man.
You're the Right-Hand Man. Man, you come to us for dated references is what you come for.
I mean, that game, it got a re-release, like, very recently. Like, people are all playing again. And by people, I mean VTubers.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I kind of figured that's why you brought it up. I was like, why would that be back in the public all right, VTubers did a thing.
It's so funny watching them just... Because all the references in that game, you can tell whoever made it was, like, roughly our age.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because all these references are, like, Super Nintendo and 64 references, and they're just going over so many heads, it's amazing.
That's very funny.
I love that they just don't get half of what these games are, like, what the references are, but just, we're still here for it anyway.
Yeah. Multiple VTubers now have said, what's a GameCube? Like,
what?
Oh my god!
What?
Yeah.
How young are they? How
18,
fucking
20?
young? How fucking young or what? How do you ask what's a GameCube?
Pretty much in that voice.
Wow, I could do it, huh? I could be a VTuber.
Could you do that voice for 5 hours?
I could probably do that voice for at least an hour. So that would like look if I did that voice for like an hour and I got the kind of money a VTuber did, I'd only have to work like a month. I could pull that off. To my immediate virtual left, he's hitting switches on the block in a 65. It's John Thayer.
Hi.
Hey.
I'm doing well. I have a little quick announcement before the podcast proper.
Let's hear it.
I have an update to one of my old games, and I've got a book that you can go read. Mm-hmm. I released an update to my game Facets. It's Facets V1.1, and now it has difficulty options on several axes. Now you can play it on. I think the big one is that you can play it on wait mode now, so the fighting can be a lot slower and more comprehensible.
That's literally my favorite part. Like, I don't even need easy mode. I just like, you know what? You made it manageable.
It's so fast, and in RPG Maker 2003, sometimes the attacks like overlap in ways that make it hard to parse.
Yeah, that's where it gets me.
So now you can play it on wait mode, and it's a lot slower and nicer. And there's also a prepared mode, which you can play, which is a separate axis from the active versus wait, where you start off with just a billion extra healing items, so you're not at risk of running out and being stuck at the end of the 2-hour game and not being able to win.
Yeah, that'd be terrible.
How
very Dragon Quarter of you.
It's pretty much very Dragon Quarter. Sela says maybe I'll play Facets this time. That's the idea. if it was too scary last time, and there's also maps of all the dungeons and a boss guide included with the game.
The boss guide is very good, by the way. especially if you read Wayward.
Oh, interesting.
I wondered who would notice that.
Yeah.
There's just a teensy bit of lore, just a teensy little bit of lore in there. And then I wrote a prequel novel. It's about Lacey and Alyssa, who are the main two. Well, Alyssa's the main character, and Lacey's her girlfriend in Facets. And Zella says Wayward is dope as hell. Thank you. And I think it's just a book about them meeting and falling in love and stuff, and a bunch of stuff going down.
Big old fate-like fights. that was one of my major takeaways when I was giving John my feedback. Like, wow, boy, a lot of these fights just read like Fate Stay Night.
I'm so happy I got that. I'm so happy I got that across. Literally, like, okay, this was like the secret thing I was hoping was like, I'm going to show everyone how much they want Fate but gay.
Well,
everyone is thirsting for it. They just don't realize it yet. They just desperately want Fate but gay.
You're tapping that that completely unused potential because Nasu is so afraid of the gay.
Nasu is relentlessly straight. Oh my god. Jess says, what about Astolfo? Look, Fate Apocrypha isn't. Fate Apocrypha
my
isn't real
God.
Fate.
That's not Nasu, and Astolfo is amazing. We stand Astolfo here, okay?
Also, Astolfo does not get the love story
No.
that they deserve.
No.
I thought you were gonna say that
They
Fate Apocrypha
absolutely
is
not.
not real gay.
It's not real Fate. It's not
Like,
real
it's
gay.
very clearly the story that should have fucking happened,
Yeah,
but it's not the story that happened because they're
they bait and switch you right into the last episode.
yeah, they're fucking babies.
Taylor says, I'd say that Kanazuki is Fate, but gay, but that also sucks. Well, if it sucks, then it doesn't sound a lot like Fate to me, Taylor. Hopefully Wayward doesn't suck. I think it's very, very good and fun, and a really, like, I think it's really sweet. I think it's really nice. I had, like, 6 different things I was trying to follow up Facets with that were all, like, even more dark, and then I wrote this, and I was like, oh, wait a minute. What if I make a nice book? That's completely nice and not at all harrowing and miserable. I really like it a lot. There may be some harrowing, miserable parts.
There's
I really
some
like it.
misery, yeah.
And I have heard back from a grand total of 1 reader since I put it out last week.
Oh,
John, I promise I'm gonna read it. I have a vacation. I have no excuse.
yeah.
Thank you.
I just want to throw it out there. I was like, no, I was ignoring it last week. I'm gonna get to it.
Thank you, Rad. I think you'll like the game too. So anyone that gets back to me, you'll immediately become my new best friend. So
Remember when Ballas like read your Fate fic and became your best friend for like a couple weeks?
that was very nice.
Yeah, it was very nice to have a best friend for once, wasn't it?
Thank you for reading, Polly. I really appreciate it. Yeah. You're the first. You're of the test readers. You got back to me very quick. It was very nice.
Well, it was a very easy story to read. Not in terms of like subject matter, maybe, but it was. I thought it was a very brisk read and very well paced, and it was easy to just I would have read it in one night had I not started getting drunk. And I wanted to come at it with, uninebriated opinions. So that's why I saved the second half for the next day.
Thank you. Also, thanks to Zelaz in the chat who test read as well, and Monty in the chat who test read as well. Thank you. And Sayara who made some really, really gorgeous cover art for it.
Hell yeah.
I love it.
Hell yeah.
And June Flower, a lot of friends of the show here, made all the glyph art strewn throughout the book. So yeah, I really love it. I worked as hard on it as I worked on any previous game. So I know prequel novel to default art only, very, very hard RPG Maker game is a slightly difficult sell.
Yeah, it's a little niche. Little niche there.
But if you're in this chat right now, you have one of the best chances, rolling one of the best dice rolls. You've rolled 7 dice already, all 6s, just like 4 more of being in that niche. So thank y'all. All right, that's it. I just wanted to plug my awesome new thing.
Fantastic. All right. So podcasts where we talk about things. That's what we do here. Rhett,
Oh no!
talk about things.
I was like, I hope I don't have to go first.
I know that's what you were thinking. I can read you like a book.
Read me like a book.
You were
And I'm over here. And I'm over here like, I hope I get to go first. And Polly's like, reading that too.
Get to fuck both of my podcast co-hosts over with just one decision.
Thank you for the nice Wayward sale.
Also,
Very
I actually want to take a moment.
Okay.
For myself, just for a moment, I typically call these kinds of things out, I want to take a moment just to personally acknowledge the passing of Joey Jordison of Slipknot, who was a huge drumming inspiration for me. I'd been drumming since I was 11, and when my friend Daniel, back in 1998 or 99, played me that first Slipknot album, or more specifically the song Surfacing, I kind of just had my mind blown back. One of those moments where I can specifically just remember the moment, like, of that, and it just like having my passion for drumming completely reignite and be set ablaze. And he went on to be just a trailblazer of a drummer. I get to see him live a couple of times, and just watching that man perform was amazing. Like, he had this really crazy rotating drum riser where he would literally just be strapped in and playing upside down and shit. Like, dude was fucking incredible. So I just wanted to kind of take a moment. Yeah, I typically call out things like that when, those things close to me happen. So, yeah, that's just my own little nod there. Thank you, Joey Jordison, for the inspiration. And no doubt, a mark that will be left on metal drumming for years to come. Just such an innovator. Anyway, thanks for that. I just need to get that out there.
Absolutely. Cool. Thank you so much for saying that.
Right. Rhett!
Hi.
Now you can follow it up.
Oh, boy, now it's even harder to follow up.
Yeah, now you gotta follow up a death. Go ahead.
Yeah,
have fun.
Thanks, Wally.
Have a go at it. Let's see how you do. I'm gonna have my scorecard ready.
So we took a little break from the podcast,
mm-hmm.
and during that I played exactly one game. Because this game took me over a month to play,
mm-hmm.
and that was Yakuza Like a Dragon.
Oh man, this is the big one.
Or as it's known in Japan, Yakuza 7, as I like to call it. So I have played, as we've detailed, I think throughout the entire podcast, I think Yakuza 4 was early days of the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But I've played all of them now, or at least all plus some version of every game, because 2 of them got remade. I haven't played the PS2 ones. And I do want to preface with one thing I said a couple months ago on the podcast. Yakuza 6 is the worst one.
Yeah.
That's not exactly true. The worst one is actually Kiwami, which is the remake of the first game. Because that one just feels like kind of janky DLC expansion 4.0.
Yeah.
So it's and I played the immediately after, because it just had I had so much momentum after 0. Just played that one, and it was well, that was cute. It really does, because it's only maybe 10 to 15 hours. I think it's short. The boss fights are terrible.
Yeah.
It really feels like an expansion pack. So that's the worst main game that I've played.
Yeah. Okay.
And when I went through my screenshots of Yakuza 6, it was there's some really, really cool, exciting moments in this game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my problem with it is that the main story is very similar to Yakuza 3, which is the one I happened to play right beforehand.
Mm.
And then, as the big climax to the Kiryu saga, it completely fell flat in that aspect.
Oh.
But being a few months removed from it and looking at it as just a standalone single adventure, it's fine. It's really good. So yeah, but it was a little weird how they shoehorned in and then he's just done after this one. There's no more Kiryu games, and that just really kind of soured a bit of it towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
So Yakuza 7, it was a big departure because new main character
mm-hmm.
and new combat system. So these games have been beat 'em ups, they've been brawlers,
mm-hmm.
and they've gotten very similar feeling after playing all of them.
Yeah,
because it's
they're very samey.
1 through 6 plus 0 plus Judgment. That's a lot of beating up dudes.
Yeah, and and you don't kill anybody.
Oh, you absolutely never kill anybody.
Despite his name being Kiryu.
I get that. So the combat in this game is really kind of the main thing you got to look at, because it's just such a huge departure,
mm-hmm.
where it really is turn-based beat-em-up combat.
Yep.
And how they're using the same animations for a lot of the basic stuff, and how at the first it seems like absolute madness, the way the camera spins around
mm-hmm.
to show all the action, all these characters kind of staying in their positions, and that it just feels so dynamic, and the fact that it's menu driven is really impressive. And then you get party members, and the way position, you don't have direct control over positioning, but the characters are kind of moving around while you're on the input screen for commands and stuff.
It's like Grandia.
Yeah. Like, it just feels very smooth and dynamic. It's really neat. Like, I went back and watched that April Fool's video, and, like, you can tell then, like, that trailer specifically was, like, very obviously CG.
Yeah.
Like, the final game does not move quite like that, but it's, like, it's really good. Like, even playing something like Final Fantasy 15, which I would say is, like, the pinnacle for, like, good-looking JRPGs. The fact that this is, like, on that level is, like, wow. Like, you know, I'm just saying because I've come off of stuff like Trails, you know,
Yeah.
and Neptunia, which are not very good-looking JRPGs.
No, they're a little budgety.
Fucking dunked Cold Steel. Oh no,
Not even Cold Steel. I'm
even
talking
Cold
about Azure, like the little sprites.
Yes.
Like, they're very good to play. They are not lookers.
Hmm.
I know. Going from this back to Cold Steel will be weird, where it's like, yeah, you're trying with these animations, I guess. But ultimately, I have to say, I'm not really a fan of the turn-based combat.
Oh no, I was hoping that would turn a corner.
It kind of does in the last third of the game. Like, the first, like, I'd say, like, 2/3 of the game are very, very easy. And I get that because I don't think they wanted to just throw, you know, the beat-em-up fans to the wolves completely and just make it, like, actually tactical and difficult until they do at the very end.
Yeah.
But at least you have a little, you know, time before then.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I was really, really not, like, thinking while doing the combat for, like, 2/3 of the game, and that's a little rough.
That's unfortunate. And there's no difficulty selection, is there?
So the difficulty is only a post-game thing. Like, technically it's in there, but you don't unlock it till you've beaten the game, which means I'm never going back. And, like, even if you download a save, basically, hard mode just makes everything start at level 50, and then, like, super hard is, like, everything starts at level 70.
Okay.
Like, it's definitely not like Trails where you could just start a new file and have, like, oh, they do 20% more damage, you know, just to make it a little trickier. This is just straight up. It would be impossible, like, literally impossible to start from level 1 on hard mode.
Yeah.
So they don't even let you try. So yeah, there's only the one difficulty, and then it's just very basic for a while. And, like, there's a ton of jobs, like kind of a Final Fantasy V job system, and I just never really found much reason to deviate and, like, train different jobs up because of how easy the game was. And, like, once I found, like, jobs that I thought were good and worked for a character, like, I kind of just kept them there.
Yeah, yeah. There's
One
no,
of the
like,
weirdest
nuanced building here or anything, it doesn't sound like.
So, like, each job will have 2 skills that once you learn them, they'll be available on no matter if you switch off of that job. So, like, there were a few where it's like, oh, if I get this up to level 4, he learns an HP regen song. I'll grab that and then switch back to the main one that I want this character on. So, like, I did that a couple times, but, like, never felt like it made a huge difference, you know?
Gotcha.
And, like, the male characters have different jobs than the female characters, which is a little weird. And there's only 2 girls, and one of them is, like, the completely optional character.
Oh.
I will say, though, my favorite job in the game, unfortunately, was one of the DLC ones you have to pay a couple bucks more for. But it's for the girls. It's called Matriarch, and, like, it's just like her 2 main weapons are, like, spear and machine gun, and it just fucking rules.
That's perfect. Those are like those are the ideal weapons I want to see a woman with.
Yeah. It's like, that one is really cool. All the other jobs for girls are like, oh, it's like hostess or like...
Maid!
Not maid, but like, the hostess just hits people with a bag. It's kind of weird. There's dealer where you throw cards at enemies. I forget the other one. I will say the optional girl, her default job, like, everybody has a default that's unique to them. Hers, she just fucking pulls out a box cutter. It's kind of vicious.
Oh, that's a job to have. Like, my job is box cutter.
Well, her job is like secretary, so when she fights, she just fucking pulls out a box cutter and starts stabbing dudes.
I feel like that would be one of the more ruthless things you could do in a fight.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, she's a melee character, so that she's the one I gave the spear and machine gun to. Well, I was so shocked when she fucking... Her machine gun attack is just so goddamn strong. Like it's kind of random, but it seems to ignore defense. So I'm like using it again. I was used it for like half the game. I'm using it on the final boss. Like, yeah, it says you resist this, but it's still doing like 400 damage 3 times. You're fucked.
Yeah, you're done.
So like, trying to. There's 7 playable characters, but you can only have 4 in the party at once.
You can tag in and out though.
I will say the tag in thing is actually really nice because you can do it to characters that are unconscious, who've been knocked out from alive party members.
Mm-hmm.
Like some games that are like you can only tag out a character if they're from their menu. Like I think Tokyo Mirage Sessions was like that, where it's like if you wanted to tag out the character, they had to still be alive.
Neptunia Rebirth 3 let you do that too, where you could tag out a dead character for an alive one.
Yeah. It makes more sense to do that than having to have, oh no, they're only at 50 HP. That's perfect. Now I'll swap them out. Like it never really works that way. But in practice, I was only gearing up the 4 characters I was using. So there was one really hard boss fight, and I did try swapping out because like everybody but Costiga was knocked out, so I swapped out the others for the backup team, and they just immediately all got one hit killed. And I'm just like, well, okay, I'm not really gonna try that again. Because characters not in the main party get experience slower.
Right.
So they're not quite as leveled up. They don't have the gear.
Still the worst JRPG mechanic, by the way. Stop doing it. Just give everybody experience. Let's stop this garbage.
I mean, so there is like an affinity system where characters in the back row will get more experience.
Yeah.
But like, again, they still get behind a little bit.
It's a dumb system and I hate it.
It just felt like the main 4 characters. So the other weird thing is like the last 2 party members you get are kind of late in the story. So I just like wasn't going to bother with a new character at that point. Like, oh, all your jobs are level 1. Cool.
Right.
Oof. So unless you're really like, oh, I want that guy in my party, which is never going to happen for me because they were both guys. Like, I will say, oh my God, there's this girl who is super hot, and they literally do this thing where she's like, I'll come with you. And then another character goes, no, you stay back. I'll go with them. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me right now? They tease her joining your party and then take it away.
Oh.
But the weird thing is that in the cutscenes, like one party member is totally optional because you get her by doing like the management sim game. And then she never appears in any cutscenes because, as far as the story is concerned, she's not actually with you guys.
Yeah.
And then, like, the cutscenes will like generally still focus on the original 4 characters, and like those 2 later don't show up as much, and it's a little weird. And you know how a lot of like modern 3D video games, like when a cutscene ends, it'll kind of do the rotating camera as it gets behind your main character.
Yeah.
As you resume control. So this game does that, but it's really funny because everybody will be standing around talking, and then characters that aren't in your active party will just they will just fade away. As the camera.
Oh no!
It's really kind of funny.
They're like Santa Claus. You just don't know they're there.
They're just invisible for right now. Or like, oh, this character is turning into the optional party member.
They're angels. It's fine.
So the combat, like, for the first 2/3 of the game, roughly, kind of ignorable. And, like, it's a lot of human enemies.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost entirely human enemies. And,
yeah, like what else can you do? Like, I feel like given the conceit of the game and that the main character, Ichiban, is, like, obsessed with Dragon Quest, they could have easily made his imagination turn people into things, and it would have been a lot of fun to really play around with that idea.
Yeah. Maybe that's something they can do for the next game. There's like 3 unique enemies that are not human at all. And, like, you can tell it's those 3 because if you do a lot of the side quests like I do, they show up more than once.
No.
Like each of these kind of unique bosses shows up like 2 or 3 times.
Yo, we are pulling right from the Compile Heart book of plays here, man.
And I think it wouldn't have felt as egregious if it wasn't just, okay, there's 2 kind of robot bosses and then 1 tiger.
Oh, boy.
And then, like, certain moves on them won't work because you can't,
Yeah, you can't... Who says you can't pile drive a tiger?
I was going to say you can't suplex a tiger, but they probably do in Yakuza 2.
I mean, why wouldn't you be able to? I want to play a game where I can power bomb a tiger through 3 tables, man.
There's a lot of animations that you can only do on human enemies that don't work on the larger, unique bosses, which is a little bit of a shame.
Yeah.
And yeah, the character, like... So Kasuga has this thing where when you start a fight... Like, he imagines a bigger threat than what's actually there.
Yeah.
So, like, and the enemies will get pretty wacky. Like, oh, I'm like the deranged barber. I'm fighting with scissors. Or, like, the otaku hitting you with a body pillow. Actually, it's not that. They have, like, those glow sticks? They have them as, like, claws. So it's like 3 glow sticks on each end. But then at the end of the game, there's like an optional battle. Well, I will say technically optional. If you want to grind, you're going to have to go in there. And if you want to beat some of the later game bosses, you're going to have to go in there. In that place, the character design just gets completely like off the wall goofy, where you're just fighting like anything and everything. Like one enemy is like a pirate captain with a giant trident. There's like guys that are oiled up and they're like sliding around on like
I keep laughing hearing you talk about this game.
It's so weird. Like the character design in the tower like gets really crazy. There's some humanoid like robots, which a lot of the animations will work on. But it's like I think my main problem with this game is that the JRPG combat is a lot slower than the beat 'em up. And then there's a ton of random encounters in the city. And it just, for a game that is like twice as long as Yakuza 6 was, it just gets kind of exhausting at a point. And like, I actually did finally get an item that was like, oh, turn off random battles in the city. Like, they just won't appear at all.
Yeah, they give that to you the last hour of the game.
They give that to you right when you want to stop when you wouldn't want to use it because it's right at the difficulty spike.
Oh, God.
I was like, that was really unfortunate, game. Because I think this game does use extremely good use of difficulty spikes. Because there are 2 fights, one in particular, the first one, that just come out of nowhere and beat your fucking ass. And because of what characters it is, it makes complete contextual sense that you would be completely unprepared to fight these characters.
Yeah, like you get a few moments in the Trails games that are like that, where you fight a big bad, you've spent like 5 games with this person being mythologized, and suddenly, I deserve to lose that.
It's the parts where they play Silver Wheel. It's like,
yes!
Okay, here's the part. Here's where you need to really know the game.
I know, so like, I'm cruising through, not thinking about the combat, and then I just come on one fight, and like I'm like 35 levels, and like these 2 bosses are like level 50, and they just beat my ass, and I'm like, okay, and like the game doesn't expect you to get to level 50 because I think I beat them at like 41 or so, but I had to actually learn the combat for once, and it was really fun for once. And then a couple more bosses that are easy, and then there's one more brick wall, and then I kind of cruise through the rest of the game. Like, because like a lot of the status effects and stuff, they just don't feel particularly important on boss fights because I don't think... Like, I never really went for them because I don't think they'd work. Because they can miss, obviously.
See, that's the first thing that I try to do with boss fights these days is debuff and throw status effects and see if that works.
Yeah. So I was just doing a lot of like, oh, this attack down is working and keeping me alive. I'll keep doing that one. Or, defense down. Like, those were working. But, like, I don't think I'm going to set... poison on the boss or whatever, and will it even matter that much?
Right.
So yeah, it was fun just having to actually learn a couple boss fights, because then one of them has a totally different feel, even though it's still hard. So like, oh, like the attack down and stuff doesn't work on this one because like the boss is attacking so many times that it just runs out after a couple turns. So it's like I can't just keep applying it every time because that character would just be completely locked up doing that.
Yeah.
So, like, I think there is potential in the combat. I think hopefully they would, take a strong look at that in the next one.
Yeah.
And I think, but ultimately, like, I think a lot of problems I have with this game would be forgiven if I liked the main story more.
Oh.
And it just didn't have like that kind of oomph I expect from a Yakuza game. Because it's a lot lighter in tone than these games have typically been.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And because the combat itself is kind of goofy, like it has a hard time shifting into dead serious mode.
Oh, yeah, I was thinking that might be a problem given how...
Because they're... Yeah.
Like, you have a real bad tone shift there. That's hard to manage.
Because what happens is you will have moments where the game is being dead serious and you're like fighting against this guy who murdered your brother or whatever happens.
Yeah, but hold on, let me pull out my gigantic plastic hammer.
Basically, and then the fight starts and all your characters turn into their wacky jobs. So you've got, Psycho over there is hitting the enemy with like literally a wand that's shaped like a popsicle.
Great! This works.
And it kind of breaks the illusion there for a bit. Because I think what worked about the Kiryu games is that he was the straight man in like the goofy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that when it became serious, he didn't have to change as a character.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's always serious.
Yeah.
It's just crazy stuff is happening around him in like the side content. Whereas Kasuga is much more of a participant in the goofy stuff. So it's like he has to shift tone dramatically when the game wants to get serious.
Right.
Because like the ending of this game is like an hour long and feels like it came from some totally different other project in a way. Where because the combat's over, it just goes deathly serious for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like this. Yeah, it just was like, oh my god, this feels like so incongruous with a lot of the stuff that came earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, so it was a good ending. Like, at least they didn't like completely drop the ball there. But I was just kind of dumbfounded by the end in a weird way.
Yeah, like I was kind of wondering about the tone shift and how the weird, wacky tone that combat has, and like how you maintain a serious story with that.
Yeah. I think I did kind of naturally gravitate towards jobs that weren't as goofy.
Just to maybe
one of them,
save the tone a little bit.
Because one of the other jobs is like, one of the other DLC jobs is Devil Rocker, and you like literally, your character will like literally put on like a kiss outfit and makeup and like have devil wings and like start hitting enemies with a guitar.
That's pretty good.
And like spitting fire, but it's like, this is really goofy. Like there's a chef job where you're like, hitting enemies with pots and pans and ladles. Like, I kind of went for the more serious ones, like, oh, girl with spear and machine gun. Okay, it does not feel at all weird when she pulls out a machine gun and shoots like 7 Yakuza. So, like, last thing I'll say is that the combat also kind of fell apart a little bit towards the end because you just start getting AoEs, like everybody's super moves.
Right.
And they're AoEs, like, that hit everything no matter what because they're little cutscenes.
Yeah. So
it's just like starting every fight doing that and then hit start. Okay, everybody's dead. Move on. Because I think, like, ultimately the thing that was fun about the combat through like 8 previous Yakuza games is that it never played out exactly the same.
Right.
Because the triangle button was just the do cool shit button.
Yeah.
And because you had so many at times heat moves.
Yeah.
That were all on the triangle button. When you pressed it, you were never 100% sure what was about to happen.
It was like Christmas.
Like, a lot of times I know people joked about every Yakuza game, you just grab the nearest bicycle and win. And that's kind of true. The bicycles probably needed to be nerfed a long time ago.
Yeah.
They're so strong. But, like,
ridiculous.
I remember Kiwami 2 had, like, heat moves that would only work on certain streets in front of certain stores.
Oh, wow.
Like, they got so specific with them. And, like, so none of the fights, and the fights were quick, is what I really want to emphasize, is that they never felt really drawn out besides the boss fights.
Yeah, and the way that these are being menu-driven, they typically have to be slower. They're
slower, and, like, when I'm fighting, like, 6 random enemies on the street, I just want to do the best AoE, and it's always going to... And one character has the highest speed, so they always go first, so I'm just doing that move as my opener. every single time, you know?
Yeah. I mean, why wouldn't you?
And then eventually you get a different AoE, and that just becomes the new opener. So the fights just got pretty repetitive. So I think if they had focused more on like unique, hard, cool fights, that would have been better. Also, I know this is going a while, but this is my one like really big thing.
Dude,
It's a big game.
go! It doesn't.
Yeah.
Like this is your thing.
There's like 2 dungeons in the game, and they're both fucking terrible.
Oh, man! That's not what I wanted to hear. Like, I wanted them to at least get that right. But it sounds like they're probably just dumb mazes.
They're not even... I mean, they're kind of mazes, but they're pretty linear, and you have a good map, so you're not going to get, like, actually lost.
Right.
So, like, the first one, I didn't mind. Because you're in Kamurocho, the main city from the other games.
Yeah.
And it's before you leave for basically the whole entire rest of the game. And you go through a little sewer dungeon.
Yeah. As
a way to sneak into enemy HQ. And it's fine. And then in like chapter 6, a little, further into the game, there's another sewer dungeon.
Oh.
And it hit a point where, so I'm like, I don't actually think they're the same, geometry. But, like, having it be, like, 3 or 4 hours later, it felt like the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, oh, we're doing another sewer dungeon, huh?
Yeah.
So I hit a point, it went on a little bit longer than I thought it should. And then I hit a point, there's a save point and a heal thing, and I'm like, okay, I'll come back tomorrow night and finish this off. Because I thought there was going to be a boss in the next room.
Oh, no.
Because they give you a save and a heal point.
Yeah.
I walk to the next area and there's another floor. And I'm like, okay. At least I'm refreshed from the night. This dungeon was twice as long as I thought it was going to be. Get to the end of that screen and there's a third map.
No!
And I think, oh, this dungeon was 3 times longer than I thought it should be. and then it did end it, thankfully.
Oh god, I was waiting for a 4th.
I think 3 and 4 are like both kind of abbreviated ones, but it's just like, okay. Ultimately, like 3 times longer than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
But like, so that's like the chapter 6 dungeon. I saw someone on Game of Fake go, that was fucking terrible. Hope there's nothing like that in the rest of the game.
Oh no.
And then there isn't. There's just like no actual dungeons after that.
That's so weird.
And when you finish the chapter 6 one, they immediately give you an option. Hey, you can go through it again, and there'll be higher level enemies this time. And I'm just like, no fucking thank you.
I'm good.
And then at the end of the game, when I hit the difficulty spike, I thought, oh, maybe I should actually go do that now. So I'm like, level like 40s, and I go through that dungeon a second time, and everything's like level 20s now. And I'm like, oh,
that's
it didn't actually scale. Cool.
Oh, great.
And then I get the option even later, like right before right at the end of the game, they go, hey, you could go fight the final boss, or you can go through this optional dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this first sewer area again.
Oh,
but everything's like level 40 now.
God, it's so weird.
It's literally like this prompt, like this in-game prompt that pops up over things that says, hey, go fight final boss or optional dungeon over here. I'm like, what?
Ugh.
I do feel there was maybe hints of development trouble in this game because, like, the way the side quests work, all assume Kasuga is by himself. Like, the party members, like, literally don't appear.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. And they've said, the on-record statement is that they overhauled the entire combat system based on the reaction to the April Fool's video.
Oh, jeez.
Which, we know a little bit more than about how video games are made.
Yeah.
There's no fucking way that they did this entire combat system and adjusted the story to make it fit in like 6 months.
No, that's
There's
not reasonable.
no effing way. Somebody had a good speculation. I will say this is speculation, but basically, they did the April Fool's video to test the water.
Yeah,
And if people had a really, really negative reaction, they would have delayed the game.
Yeah.
And it didn't get delayed, which meant that was always the combat system they were going for.
That's what that April Fool's joke always felt like to me, because it was way too polished for a damn April Fool's joke. And I knew that it was, you're either testing for something you want to do or you're doing now. And then lo and behold, 3 months later,
they were definitely doing it at that point, because some animations are like literally the same as in the final game.
Yeah.
but the way the side quests don't have your party members there, and just it's one of those tone things where it's just kind of waffling a bit more than it should.
Yeah.
And a lot of the early side quests, like, they act like they're taking place over multiple days.
Oh.
But then you can just walk like 100 feet away and then turn around and come back. And it's just like, oh, if this game just had like user-controlled day-night system, you could just do that yourself. And like actually make these quests feel a little more immersive, like you have to come back the next day.
Yeah.
But they don't.
Xenoblade does that a lot.
But again, there'll be story moments where like I'll be at this location tonight, and then the scene fades and it's nighttime. Like, oh, better go to that location. Like, it would be weird if and then he slept for 3 days.
Yeah.
But like every other JRPG kind of does that anyways.
Yeah, like I mean, if you're going all in on the RPG tropes, I don't know why you wouldn't just lean into that stuff harder.
Yeah.
Which tells me maybe like their idea was maybe a little more shallow than it initially seemed.
Yeah. It's just like, I think it's kind of death by a thousand cuts where like enough stuff feels a little bit off for me.
Yeah.
As well as just combat aside, everything else in this game feels exactly like a Yakuza game, and I might be also a little tired of that formula.
I mean, you're like 7 games in, right?
I mean, if you include like 1 through 6,
you're 8 games in.
This is 7. Then there's 0. Then there's Judgment. There's just a lot.
And you played all of them, right?
And
so you're 9 games in.
I'm 100% up to date now, and there's a new Judgment coming out like this fall. I'm just like, oh. Did you guys see this?
This is the equivalent of playing like Cold Steel 4 in terms of density of Yakuza stories.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
This is the one series that I'm 100% caught up on.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I played 4 when it was the most recent one. Like I have been relatively on par. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's just there's so many of them, and the fact that I just spent a month playing Trails to then dive into spending over a month playing this was just okay. I'm a little JRPG'd out right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So like, there's my aspects to it, and then there's like the game itself maybe being a little disappointing to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I never truly got bored of the beat 'em up, which is the funny part.
Yeah, despite the fact that it's very, very repetitive
and simple, but it just works.
Yeah. Got that cool button.
Have you seen?
Cool button.
This is the last thing I'll mention. Apparently, Judgment is never coming to PC.
Yep, they don't want you to model. They don't want people to mess with the actor's model, getting out there and people doing weird sex stuff with it.
It's all weird likeness rights.
Yeah, look, Japanese talent agencies, especially the really big ones, are notoriously difficult to work with.
Yeah, apparently this one is like notoriously the most restrictive.
Like, they don't even allow their clients to have social media accounts.
God. So, like, remember, Judgment got into trouble where one of the actors portraying a character was, like,
he got caught with cocaine, yeah.
Was it cocaine? I thought it was weed, but I think you're right, though. So, like, they had to remodel this character for the Western release because he was just 100% blacklisted in Japan.
Yep.
And now the games can never come out on PC because of the main character is also based on an actor. Mm-hmm. I'm just like, I think Sega should just never bother with real likenesses ever again. Because it has just caused a lot of headache with this series.
Yeah, I feel like the money they spend on getting big names like that, they could probably spend on making a fucking better video game. I don't know.
I mean, I really like Judgment. Like, that was one of my favorites of all these. Like, it ended up in the top 10 of the game of the year list. But and again, for me, had nothing to do with the fucking likenesses of these actors. I don't know. Like, that's only going to sell in Japan.
Yeah,
really. But yeah, the new one is coming out, and I'm not going to play it until I have a PS5 at least. So.
Oh, cool! You're not playing it until 2023 then.
Exactly. So yeah, that's the Yakuza journey for now, and it's actually at its end for now.
Do you feel like a dragon though?
There's some shit towards the end where the answer is absolutely yes.
Okay.
Aww.
That's good. So long as you still felt like a dragon coming out the other side, I think that,
It fulfilled its promise.
Yeah, it fulfilled some kind of promise, I think.
Uh-huh. It's so funny that like a Dragon quest. It's still the best.
I just got that.
Well, okay, Kiryu was always the dragon. So
Yeah.
it is a thematic connection there.
Like it's like a
But when
dragon.
they literally say Dragon Quest in this game,
Yeah.
he's like talking about his favorite game on the NES or the Famicom.
Yeah, like they went specifically to Square Enix to clear all this.
Really? Cool. That's so they got rights for that at least.
Yeah.
That's wild. So that's like a dragon.
That's the Yakuza journey.
Hell yeah.
Okay, let's throw it to John. He's been sitting here waiting.
John chomping at the bit here.
I've been getting back to my core competencies. Is how it feels.
Mm-hmm.
All this arcade shit, throw it in the trash.
All right, get out of here.
RPGs, throw them in the trash.
Out.
We don't need that.
Done.
We don't need that shit.
Garbage.
You know what we need? We need short itch games by my friends.
All right, I'm here for it.
I played Fallen Star, the new Jetstorm, the new Thomas Light joint, the Jetstorm 4. So this was a jam game. It feels very fleshed out. It's about an hour long. It's a basically a vignette of a final dungeon in an RPG. Mm-hmm. Like you just jump in and experience final dungeon. It sets up the story like very economically, just like throws you in, here are the characters, here are the stakes, go dungeon. Which I love that setup. I think that's dope. I want more bite-sized RPGs that are actually like dungeons with fighting, which is this game. Mm-hmm. This is by far the most like balanced and kind of viscerally fun the fighting in Tom's games has been.
Right.
The whole point with this one was just like balancing the fighting and the verbs, just like really drilling in there and using the short form structure.
Yeah.
And it's literally like 15 fights, like you, where the enemies jump out at you like Chrono Trigger and fight you. Instead of there being random encounters, they're a bunch of different kind of statically balanced fights, which I love. And like to me, and the maps are really gorgeous. They use the same style as Silas, where you stretch outside the boundaries of the screen. It's hard to describe, but like there's no edge to the scrolling. There's always more visible area that you can't explore.
Yeah.
And it makes the maps feel huge and really cool, especially the starting maze. So that basically it's just like you're going through this cool dungeon and having these little character beats, and you have this big JRPG climax. And it all just works and it lands, and it's kind of tense right up to the end. Like I never like it. It feels very gentle in the sense that I played it thoughtfully, and was engaged and was like paying close attention to everyone's rules. And you full heal after every encounter also, which I really liked, because it meant that otherwise if that wasn't the rule, because your resources are limited, I would have played very conservatively and been like focusing on just using my regular attacks throughout the fights. And instead I was able to kind of explore the verb set a little bit better, and I think that worked out really nicely. So it feels gentle, but I stayed like fully engaged the whole game right up through the very end. The final boss has like a cool attack phase at the very end that's like, oh, this is tense.
Neat.
So I like this a lot. I told Tom afterwards, like, this is the most like Falcom dungeon, like not just in like aesthetics, but in terms of just like the friction and feel of how the numbers bash together, like how that plays out. Was just really strong. I had a really, really good time with this. So recommend it. I
Our
posted
friends make good video games.
Yep. Like, I to be clear, I fucking loved Silas. I really enjoyed that game. I especially really enjoyed its story and its maps. I felt like the fighting was strong in that one, but this just kind of reaches another level where it's using the short form structure to like really balance out the fights. And I thought it was just very pleasing, and it makes me that much more excited for Tom's next game.
Nice.
So, hearty recommend. The next one is Land Votus, which I did not actually play to completion, but I want to talk about anyway. And I didn't play it to completion because this is an experimental game in the sense of being like pretty dense and like kind of challenging to parse in a way that where it's like asking of me things that I don't usually have games ask me. It is a game about navigating one big world map. And that is the whole game, is navigating this big map and finding hidden treasures based on treasure maps. And you have limited visibility, like classic Ultima style, based on the terrain around you. If you look at the map, it's just gorgeous.
Yeah, there's neat.
It's very cool. There's no in-game menu. It's just everything is there inside the frame around the playable area. It's Ultima. But there's no fighting. There's next to no story. Sreka made Ocean Oi, which I put on my Game of the Year list either last year or the year before, because it was just a combat gauntlet. Like, very minimal story, like 15 really hard fights in RPG Maker that are really smart and cool. So it's literally like Sreka is just like drilling down just deep into RPG language and making something like very focused. And I kind of feel like they're on the cusp of some wild shit, like actually kind of pushing the boundaries of the form, I guess. The thing that kind of pushed over the line where I was like, this is a little too dense for me right now when I picked it up, was I think that you can only use one treasure map at a time. So if you find one of the shrines that has a different treasure map, you don't get to hold on to that treasure map. You have to go find the shrine again later. So it's a little bit of like kind of Sonic Adventure 2, where you're trying to find all these things in the Knuckles stages, but you can only be targeting one at a time. Which is a very mean thing to say in the sense that I don't like those levels in Sonic Adventure 2 at all, but this is doing something really cool. So I think that choice, like, it's legit, but it just is like, hey, you need to learn this map. But it makes it like very like a little digesting a brick of cool RPG language. So I hope to get to this again at some point, but I wanted to share that with everyone just because I think it's really dope.
Yeah, I'm more interested, I think, in it from the technical aspects of using RPG Maker 2000 to make this. That to me is just like, I look at that and go, what?
How the fuck did you do this?
What did you do and how did you do it? What the fuck? Yeah. I've used RPG Maker 2000 and I didn't know it was capable of anything looking like this.
There's no scripting in 2000 and 2003.
No, there's not. So what the fuck are you doing?
This is done with events.
That's I can see, I guess, like, tile set events happening here to make that area.
Idea.
Like, my brain is kind of breaking because I'm going back to my RPG Maker 2000 knowledge, and it's just like, man, I'm too fucking dumb.
Absolutely no clue. Like, maybe dropping pictures, like 16 by 16 black pictures, and just every step looking at the tiles around you and calculating where the picture should be dropped.
Oh, jeez.
That sounds like a nightmare too.
Just
using picture overlays for the whole thing. That gives me an idea though.
This is the dense shit. Like, this is the cutting edge to me.
Yeah.
Like, to the point of being like nearly undigestible as a play experience. Like,
oh yeah, I can understand that.
Like, I think that's really cool and wild, and I love it. Love seeing stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, one more I'm going to talk about in this section. I played Inglet.
I think it's Inglet.
This is the new Niflus joint.
Who should we know Niflus from?
Knit. And
Oh,
KNYTT.
KNYTT. Okay.
Yep.
I knew that name sounded
Knit
familiar.
Stories, Knit Stories, Knit Underground.
Yeah, I knew that name sounded familiar, so...
Yeah, and then a handful of other stuff like Within a Deep Forest and Night Sky. I liked Knit back in the day. I really liked Knit Stories. I liked playing everybody's... Because that was mostly... The hook was that it had a big level editor, so a bunch of people made cool Knit Stories levels. I would say I've never connected super deeply with Niflus stuff. I think Toby Alden loves it. Like, you can see that inspiration in like most of their work like, oh yeah, this person really likes Knit, and that rules. And Yinglet, the gist of this is that you are like basically a worm, and instead of platforms, it's sort of a basic, kind of like a 2D platformer, except that instead of platforms, you're basically swimming from floating globs of water and jumping between them. So it's sort of like that. It's like those levels in Echo the Tides of Time or Mario 3D World, where you have the floating water and you're jumping between them.
Right.
Which I fucking love. that is just always like one of my favorite aesthetics in platformers. Is like whoosh, smash, like I think it's really cool. It has a bunch of other cool things. The big like language it plays with is that you have a dash, and that it introduces like walls where if you run into them not dashing, then you bounce hard off of them. But if you dash through them, you pass right through them. And then there's a different opposite colored wall where if you run into it, you pass right through it. But if you dash into it, you bounce off of it. There's also like, to make another Sonic Adventure 2 comparison, there's also like cool rails that you like grind through.
Oh yeah,
it feels like
the coolest game where you can grind. Obviously,
it feels really cool. Yeah, like there's no other game series I feel like anyone else would.
I can't think of any game where you would actually grind rails like.
Yeah, that you would think of before Sonic Adventure 2.
No, not at all.
I mean, Sonic Advance 2. Yeah, right.
Sonic Adventure 2 has you fucking grind in space. It's the coolest shit ever.
Thank you, Rhett. It is, in fact, the coolest shit ever. So, basically, this is just a really, really cute language. It's really just nice and chill. I got all of there's like a couple collectibles in each level. They're not hard to find. They generally just are like, all right, here's a slightly harder platforming challenge or dash challenge. And I felt like the main game was just really well paced, and I had a nice time playing through it over like 2 hours. I think I did have a kind of muted reaction where I was sort of like the no story abstract indie platformer about exploring a cool music, cool movement, and a cool aesthetic. That's maybe not my like number one cup of tea these days, I think.
Yeah. I think that you can get to a point where that starts to feel really overdone.
And that's especially rough with Niflus, because that's all of his stuff.
That's, yeah, like, and, hey, like, everybody got a wheel.
Good on him.
Right? Like, if I had a choice, I'd make 100 Contra games if I had the ability. So...
There you go. So I think that kind of puts into context my muted reaction to all of his stuff, because it's not like arcadey platformers. It's all this kind of longer form, gentle, quiet aesthetic indie platformer with no words or story. And that's just, at this point, I just think that's kind of a hard sell for me these days. Like, it's just something I have trouble vibing with. But this, if you do like these kinds of games, this is a good one. I had a fun time with it. I think it's nice, and it's only $5. Like, I think this is a really nice evening. I know our friend of the show, June Flower, played through the game and then played through all of the harder extra stages too, which I didn't go for. So yeah, I had a nice time with this. I have 2 other itch games, and that's literally it. So I think I'm going to throw it to Polly.
Oh no, me.
I know. Go for it.
I have to talk on my own podcast? That's how this works?
Know.
I thought
Rude,
since we
right?
moved to the new era, I thought it was the new era where I didn't have to talk about things, and it was going to be just, hey, sit here, play Switch, and not have to worry about it. I press the record button, and I get all the credit. Goddamn. I still have to put in effort.
You don't care. You don't actually care about the podcast. You're just here for the cash.
Yeah.
You're here for the cash and fame of running the Sockscast.
Those big podcast bucks I'm raking in right now, you would not believe. You would not believe the endorsements we're doing. The endorsements we have coming up.
The Poly S stands for sellout.
Finally, someone figured it out. God, I've been sending signals all these years, and finally somebody got it. All right, we've talked about video games for a bit. Let's talk about something that's not a video game.
They make those?
Yeah. Let's talk about Mortal Kombat.
Oh my god.
Oh wait, that's a video game. Shit. Okay. Anyway, so who here saw the very fun and very good 1995 Mortal Kombat movie?
Hell yeah.
All right.
I did it as a kid, and it was precious to me. It was
all right.
very important to me.
I am so happy that I am in good company then, because that movie, like, I have not wavered once in the last 25 years in thinking that movie is still probably the best video game adaptation to cinema. And I think that the best part about that movie is that Mortal Kombat was known to just be this violent, gory thing. And that movie was PG-13 and had no violence at all, really. Like, it had fighting, but it didn't have any, like, dark fatalities,
gore.
No blood anywhere, no gore. Yeah. And it was also released at a time when Mortal Kombat 3 was coming out, when that series, like, they started to kind of pull it back and make it a little more silly for a bit. Like, you go look at, like, Mortal Kombat 3 has a dude take his mask off and scare the ghost out of somebody, okay? Mortal Kombat 3 was not taking itself very seriously. And the movie, like it had a lot of that same spirit. Like, it felt very wink and nod, but it was also telling a good story. And, like, the things that were funny in it were legitimately funny. And the action was good. The CG at the time was pretty incredible, with Reptile and Goro, especially. Like, those were, like, really... There's a lot of really good work in puppetry there.
For sure.
So, yeah, that movie just... It has stayed the course, I think. Like, and I think that, like, time has only been kinder as we've gone on to that movie. One of the best. Just an absolute blast. I remember dragging my dad to see it. God bless his heart. God bless his little soul. I drug him to so many bad movies over the years, but Mortal Kombat was one where he was legit. He went in not thinking that he was gonna like it because, you know, it's a fucking video game movie. This is gonna be stupid. Came out literally as the dude that bought it on VHS day one, the day it came out. He got it before I could go get it. So there you go.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So that movie was incredible.
Yeah.
That's not what we're talking about today. We're going to talk about Mortal Kombat 2021. Has anybody else here seen this? Am I the only one?
Nope.
Taylor did in the chat, I think.
Okay, and I'm pretty sure Jess saw it as well. It sounds like, anyway. She seems very excited for me to talk about it. So that is what we are going to do. All right, we've got some folks in the audience who know what we're talking about. So this is the new movie. This one's sort of centered a little more around the mythology of Scorpion and Sub-Zero. And the movie starts out kind of giving you that backstory in, like, 1600s Japan. We go through this really cool fight scene where Sub-Zero fucking kills Scorpion and his family in very gruesome fashion. Like, this movie gets started off in a way that's just like, yo, this is violent. Like, dudes are getting their heads caved in by maces and shit. It's ridiculous. Like, it's just, the blood's flying, people. So Sub-Zero kills Scorpion's family, and yeah, he like vows to haunt him for the rest of his days. And this is sort of the event that becomes the prophecy that'll sort of unite Earthrealm's warriors against the Outworld, like, hundreds of years later, somehow. Also, Sub-Zero is immortal now for some reason. We don't know why.
So Sub-Zero kills Scorpion's family.
Yeah, Sub-Zero kills Scorpion and his family. So Scorpion goes to hell, basically. And Raiden steps in, and he's just he saves Scorpion's daughter. She was they had managed to hide her somewhere in the house before Sub-Zero got there. So Raiden comes down in all of his elder godliness and steals a child who had just been orphaned. Go Raiden. But this all becomes like the whole backdrop in a way. And again, the weird thing is just like in the games, it's not like, I don't think that it's canon at all, but Sub-Zero can now live for like hundreds of years, but now he does because like because we flash forward to modern day, and we have, which the story now starts to center around what I have to think is some producer's original character, Do Not Steal.
Oh no!
He's an MMA fighter because he's an MMA fighter named Cole, and he's like his story is he is a descendant of Scorpion's original bloodline, and that's sort of like why the center is storing around him. But like, it's so weird because like him just being like a dude versus like this cast of wildly colorful characters from this video game series that has a large lineage for having crazy great characters that you could build this story around, and they just build it around a dude. That is a down and out MMA fighter, and you know it's going to be the hero's journey of he's going to go and he's going to get stronger as the movie progresses and all that. But it was just weird, and it felt like a weird disconnect because again, like Mortal Kombat has so many great characters you could put in this spot, and you could give this origin story too. Like, if you need to rewrite a character to make it work, you could. So I don't know why Cole exists. And that's a big problem I have throughout the whole movie, is that I don't think they do a good job of making him interesting or cool at all. He's just kind of like the guy that's going to be set up to be the hero, you know, so, you know, whatever. So, but the basic idea of this movie is that, like, Outworld has won 9 straight Mortal Kombat tournaments. This is kind of the direct, you know, we know this story already. And they have to win a 10th, and they can invade Earthrealm. So Shang Tsung's idea is, well, fuck the tournament. I'm just going to kill all of Earthrealm's warriors before the tournament to ensure my victory. And Raiden states on a number of occasions that this is against the rules. You can't do this. And it's like, well, will somebody do? You're an elder god. Could you do something about that? Like, who's making these rules and enforcing them if this is illegal? And how do they not know that Shang Tsung is doing this? Because he's not killing them in any quiet manner. Literally, in the middle of a populated city, Sub-Zero is creating snow in the middle of July to try and kill Cole. Like, y'all, like, it's weird, but it's just like, I know maybe I'm cinema sensing a little bit here. But it just feels weird to me. They just keep stop bringing up that it's against the rules, because you're not. There's no penalty for Shang Tsung breaking the rules. So yada yada yada. Like, Cole kind of gets sent on a quest because now he's on the run because he knows that like Shang Tsung and Sub-Zero, like, they're after him. And like he meets up with Jax, like he gets him set on the right path. He needs to go find Sonya Blade, and then he gets up with Sonya. She gives him the whole rundown of the Mortal Kombat thing that's going on, because she's been investigating this for a while. She knows that, like, look, I know all about this crazy shit. I'm not directly involved because I'm not one of Earthrealm's chosen warriors, because she doesn't have the mark that everybody else does. She's just kind of an outsider that's helping Jax, you know, because he's going to be participating should there be a tournament. And she gives him the rundown of everything. But it is in this scene that we're introduced to basically the character that kind of makes the movie for me a little bit, kind of made it a lot more Kano. We got Kano. Kano is basically the highlight of the entire film. He's just a snarky Australian asshole criminal. And he just fucking bumbles his way into this world-altering conflict. And it's a pain in everyone's ass. And he gets away with it. He just keeps getting away with it. And it's so fucking... Like, Kano, like, that dude carried that entire movie. I can't remember the actor's name. But he carries, like, from the moment that he arrives to the minute that he, like those credits start rolling, he carried that movie from that point onward, because he's just like, you know, like, he's like the doofus from the outside. Like, everybody is like these super serious martial arts masters taking their craft seriously, and he's just kind of like sitting in the background laughing, like, just creating nothing but constant discord and just assholishness. Plays it really well. The rated R, the R rating really helps this character shine too. He's got some incredible dialogue that you would not get away with in a PG-13 movie. And yeah, but Kano carries the entire fucking movie. So you get all these characters together. Like, Kano has to kind of has to reluctantly work with them, because he is also a chosen fighter. Like, he, for some reason, received the mark. That's why Sonya's got him captured. So reluctantly, they all have to kind of team up together. There's a lot of cool fights. There's a really great reptile fight that's incredible. Like, I think they do that original reptile fight justice in the way that they set it up in this movie. It's really fun.
Fuck yeah.
Lots of training, lots of fights, lots of, like... There's a lot of really good Mortal Kombat lore and a lot of characters that get screen time, considering just how cramped the runtime is at just under 2 hours. But they mostly make it work. And for the most part, the pacing feels okay until the last third of the movie, where we kind of just had to say, okay, we don't know how to get these characters where they need to be, so we're just going to teleport everybody to their final fight, their final one-on-one fight. We're just going to teleport them there, and then we're just going to have each of them have like a 2 to 4 minute scene of fighting each other, and then the fight's over.
It's sure is a video game movie.
Oh god, yeah, it literally feels like a Mega Man, like, Wily Castle boss refight world or some shit. It's just like, it's kind of ridiculous. Like, the fights are good at least. You know, like, again, like, I think I can stress at least that's like a common highlight, is that I think the fights in this are really good. There's a really great Goro set piece. With like, Cole fights Goro, and it's a really good fight. Despite the fact that I don't like Cole at all, it's a really damn good fight.
Excellent.
And fucking Natara, yes. I think that Jess may be the only one other than me that knows who Natara is. She's a character from Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance. Her being like one of the characters that gets to have a fight in this movie, it was like, that made me pop a little bit too. It was really good. And they do a lot of good work with, like, they're not like 100% their video game analog counterparts or anything, but they do a great job of Hollywooding them up a little bit to make them a little more grounded and less costumey. Cabal is really weird, like, because you can tell he's all voiceover and, like, auto dialogue replacement. You know, it's all done post-production. It's so weird. Like, they didn't really... There's something really weird about the way they mix his voice acting in, because it's louder than it should be, so it sounds really fakey. Yeah, and that kind of, like, that might be a thing.
It sounds like Bane.
In a way, yeah. It might be that just because, like, I'm an audio engineer that, like, I'm hearing, but like, if other people might not notice it in the way that I did. But yeah, so you get, like, everybody goes to boss fight zone, their own personal boss fight zone, where they fight their rival character one-on-one. They have really good fights. And then the movie just kind of ends on a bit of a wet fart ending. Because there's no big bad that really gets theirs in this movie. Because guess what?
It's setting up a sequel.
We are setting up a trilogy at least. So nobody really, like, the heroes at the end of the movie kind of, like, they end up in a similar fashion at the end of the original Mortal Kombat movie, where it's just like, okay, they did the thing, but that's not the end, because Outworld's coming, and it's gonna get ugly. Whereas but in that original movie, Liu Kang killed Shang Tsung. So you got...
you killed the actual villain. It was almost... It would have been satisfying even if they'd never made a second one.
Exactly.
It would have been.
It would have been better if they had not made. I literally walked out of the second one in theaters.
Oof.
Can I tell a quick story, Polly?
Yes, go ahead.
So you know how you mentioned your dad ended up really liking the first Mortal Kombat movie?
Mm-hmm.
So I saw the first one with my dad as well, and somehow this happened.
Oh no!
He went to see the second one without me.
Oh.
So I've never seen Mortal Kombat. What is it?
Annihilate. Oh my God.
Annihilation.
Okay, we're riff track.
I've never seen that one, but he was like, fucking don't.
We gotta riff track this. Oh my God. I think our first riff track, I think I know what we gotta do. This is so cursed. This is so cursed! Oh God, yes! Yes! Oh, it's so fucking miserable, Rhett. I can't wait. We gotta do this. We have to do this.
I mean, as far as I know, I think the one thing I've heard is like they kill a number of characters right at the start.
Because the original actors couldn't come back.
Or didn't want to when they read the script.
Or didn't want to when they read the script. Like the Johnny Cage they got is so fucking Walmart Johnny Cage. It's so bad.
Speaking of, is Johnny Cage in the new one?
I'll say yes, but I won't say how.
Okay. Because I'm just like, when you talk about this new character who's kind of like the normal human, I'm just thinking Johnny Cage is already that role as the normal guy.
And I guess like what they're gonna do. I mean, I'm pretty sure what they're gonna do with Cole by at least the second or the end of the third movie is he's going to be Scorpion, because he's a descendant of Scorpion's original bloodline. So that's and he gets Scorpion's spear. So that's obviously.
They're going to give him electric powers, and then he'll have to make hard choices if he's good or evil. Oh, that's infamous.
Wrong one, Rhett. Oh my God. But yeah, it's... I don't know, I don't think this movie's terrible.
It seems up and down for sure, though.
Yeah, there are a lot of things that I enjoyed about it. I think that they did the actual Mortal Kombat characters justice. I think they're really well done. I like Jax. I like Kano a lot. Sonya's really strong in this too. They put a really good focus on her too. Because again, she's that odd one out where she's helping these people that all have the mark to participate in Mortal Kombat, but she doesn't. So that's sort of something she's struggling with throughout the movie. Is that she wants to protect the Earth realm, but everybody's literally like, you don't have a mark. You can train with us, but you don't fucking matter. And that's interesting. So yeah, and the movie ends on obvious fucking sequel bait, and I don't even know if they're sure if they're doing a sequel at this point. I think the director said he'd only do it if the script is actually good. So yeah.
Everybody has such confidence in making a sequel now that they end on teases like that. Just make the good. Sorry.
And I think that this cast that they got is actually really good. I don't I don't keep up with actors anymore, so I couldn't tell you. But it seems like they got a relative bunch of smaller actors to do this. I'm not entirely sure. I'll probably get spit roasted over that because I'm not entirely. It's not something I keep up with. But I didn't recognize anybody in this movie from anything else that I have ever seen. And I think that they all did really well in portraying these characters. Like the dude that played Shang Tsung has some big shoes to fill. When you consider Shang Tsung from that first movie and just how iconic he was, they literally went and the Mortal Kombat XL got that dude to do voiceover for their DLC, which is incredible. The only one is Scorpion. Oh yeah, the Scorpion dude was the dude who plays Scorpion was in The Last Samurai. Hiroyuki Sanada. Yeah, what?
I'll probably get spit roasted over that.
Yeah,
it's the funniest possible you could have gone for.
I know.
All things to say I'll get crucified by someone over that.
I know.
Spit roasted.
I knew what I was doing here.
She's going to be roasted.
Okay.
If you do porno, you get swallow roasted.
No, if you do badly at porno. I was glad to hear your Mortal Kombat take. You are the number one Mortal Kombat fandom representation in my life. So I value your take on the Mortal Kombat, any new Mortal Kombat experiences more than a lot of folks.
I appreciate that. I think that new Mortal Kombat games are on the right path too. Like, those games have been pretty good. Mortal Kombat 9, 10, like those have been really good.
Yeah.
And yet, have you played 10 or 11?
Nope. Not like I don't have anybody to play them with, unfortunately. Like back when I played Mortal Kombat a lot, like, I had friends to play them with, but now there's no point in me buying a fighting game right now. And I don't want to play with people online that would beat my ass. That just make me mad. I don't want to be mad at video games.
That's why you play with a friend for 6 months, man, when you both start from zero.
The last time I played Mortal Kombat with a friend, they rage quit.
Oh, no.
They literally rage quit. I was like, well, okay, I can't do that anymore.
Was this in person?
No, it was online. There was a really good Mortal Kombat 2 on the PS3 that had really decent online, and I played it online with a couple people, and one of them got really fucking mad when I beat them as Kung Lao for some reason. I was like, what? Like, because when I play Mortal Kombat 2, I random select everything. I don't select my character in Mortal Kombat 2 at all. I just always random select, and for some reason, when I beat them as Kung Lao, they just got real pissed off and left and did not talk to me for like 3 days.
Oh my god!
I don't know why, my dudes. Like, it was just I was just playing the video game. Like, look, I'm sorry, I'm good at Mortal Kombat 2.
See, this is why John mentioned you both start from zero.
Yeah.
Like, I would not play you in Mortal Kombat, 1, 2, or 3.
Oh, Jess also mentions the arcade operator story. I got an arcade operator to throw me out of their arcade because I beat him. I was at a machine, and I had been playing on 1 credit for a long time because people were lining up to play versus me. And, like, the way Mortal Kombat works is, like, when you win a fight, and somebody quits and they don't continue, you continue up the tournament ladder and you just play single player. But somebody comes along and they drop in quarters and they don't beat you, you're still playing on that same quarter. So the arcade operator got very angry that I had not put credits in that machine in about an hour. And he comes over and he's like, I'm going to turn the machine off if you don't get, like, he threatened to turn the machine off if I didn't just, like, let the credit go. And I was like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm playing the video game. And he was like, well, fine. If you can beat me, I'll give you everything I have in my change bag. Because he thought he was really good at it.
Stupid fucking bed.
Yeah, and he puts in his quarters to play, and I take him 2 straight rounds, just complete, and I do the fatality, and he just kicks me out.
Bopped.
Holy shit!
I think doing the fatality does piss people off.
Oh yeah. Like, at that point, it was just like, yeah, like, I know that this guy fucking just does not like me anyway, and that's probably going to be the outcome. Like, I wish I had not thrown a punch in the last round, so I could have done a babality though. That would have been, man. If only I had thought at the time, like, because at that time I was just in the zone playing the video game. Like, I wish I would have thought to do a babality at that time, because that would have just been the perfect movie end to that story. But now,
so you have to really clown on them by only using kicks in order to even do that. Then.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you can only use kick buttons. But
that's a choice. God, that's a choice. I dived into this a little bit last year when I played a chunk of Mortal Kombat 1 and some of 2.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The single player modes of those games are kind of cheap.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, midway AI is fucking miserable.
I mean, there's the old games, and then the new ones. The story modes are really, really well done.
Yeah, I like if anything, like, I would probably buy 10 and 11 just to play the story modes for, like, I would probably buy those for like $10 a piece or something just to play the story modes, because they're always really good. I'm
pretty sure I have 10 on Steam, Polly.
Oh, fantastic! That's good news. Given that I'm in a Mortal Kombat mood, maybe we'll hear about that in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
But like, I suppose I'll see the next movie. I don't see any reason not to. Like, there's nothing that really offended me here. Oh God, we have to get together and watch Annihilation, though. Oh my god!
No.
Yes, we have to, Rhett. We have to try
Okay, but
it.
first we need cool VTuber avatars.
All right, don't worry.
Do a little watch along and just set the timer.
I'll get Melly on it. Don't worry.
Oh no!
Oh no! That was the best Sonic. That was the best Knuckles. Oh no!
Oh no!
Oh no!
One last thing.
Sure.
Kano is Australian because of his portrayal in the fourth Mortal Kombat movie.
Yeah. What's his name? I used to know the dude's name. Trevor Goddard did a really amazing portrayal of Kano in the original movie, and ever since then, they've just always written Kano as Australian as a tribute to him, because he actually killed himself in 2003, unfortunately.
Oh, fuck, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was really sad. But yeah. Mortal Kombat, everybody, it's back! Welcome back to 1994.
Oh, yeah.
Alright. 5-minute break?
Wait, Polly.
What?
Did they play the theme?
They do a weird, bad remix over the credits. It's not very good. But the credit sequence for that movie is actually visually appealing. It's really cool looking. They take various scenes and stills from the movie itself and kind of superimpose them and play with them in a weird way that looks really impressive.
I like that.
Good shit.
Okay.
5-minute break?
5-minute break.
We will be back in 5 or so minutes. Go wash your balls or something if you need to. All right. What is up, you big fat nerd?
Wow, rude.
I am rude.
That's probably brings the rude to this podcast. It's sort of what gives it kind of an extra kind of edge that's not really present in most other podcasts.
I am what you might consider the Sockscast's Raphael.
But John, there are no other podcasts.
Yeah, like they all stopped when they realized that we were the best in the game.
I always thought I was the Donatello as a kid. That was mine.
Which Ninja Turtle do you think has the weirdest kinks?
Michelangelo.
You know what? He strikes me as asexual for some reason. He doesn't seem like a dude super interested in fucking. He doesn't look like he's trying to get his little turtle dick wet.
You know, Polly, I haven't really thought about the Ninja Turtles since I was like 8 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So this is very, very uncomfortable thinking about them in any sort of sexual context. Like
you mean like the Ninja Turtle spit roasting April?
Bringing it right back.
That Ninja Turtles spit roast April.
That hot fucking spit roasting content from the side.
I think you're right though. Michelangelo would see that and be like, "Dude, I just want to fucking eat pizza."
Dude, I just like pizza. What is wrong with you sick fucks?
Tell us. Jesus.
Oh man, I wondered at what point the Sockscast would finally dip its toe into turtle fucking, but here we are.
Okay. Somebody just said that I'm Venus. Why did you pick the one Sailor Moon character that is completely indistinct? Yeah. You went for the one that has no personality whatsoever.
John, I have to break it to you. There's a Venus in Ninja Turtles now.
Oh.
In like 2000, in one of the 2000s era shows that nobody gives a shit about, they were like, "Oh, we need a girl, so she's Venus de Milo."
Oh, of course.
It was not a Sailor Moon thing, probably.
Oh, that's man. Like, if nobody cares about the new Ninja Turtles series, how have they fucking had like 20?
I heard the newest one was like drop dead gorgeous and weird and experimental with the animation. And I looked at clips and it looked really wild.
Yeah. I did see. I saw a clip of it. It was like, oh, that looks good. I'm never checking out Ninja Turtles again. Sorry, I'm not 8 anymore.
Oh,
I feel wow. No, I feel like I know I have some Ninja Turtles nerd. You know how you have the Sentai nerd friends?
Yeah, we got a couple of those in chat right now.
Yes, I have at least one Ninja Turtles friend. I believe that there is a lot there. And it seems like sort of like the new DuckTales stuff. It seems like some of the new Ninja Turtles content is drawing on the weight of the past history of like all the comics and movies and cartoons and whatnot.
Yeah,
and like creating some cool stuff with it. So like I've kind of had it on my mind peripherally for a while.
Mm.
I'm just looking at Wikipedia right now. First animated series, 87 to 96. Okay, that's the one I know. Live action, 97 to 98. Don't know what that is.
I have no idea what that is.
Second animated series, 2003, 2009. Don't know what that is.
I have a video game based on that one.
Third animated series, 2012, 2017. Don't know what that one is.
No.
Fourth animated series, 2018, 2020. They keep going.
There?
I think the newest one got canceled, and that was when I saw a bunch of people like, no!
It does have like the shortest run by a pretty noticeable amount.
Yeah. I think a lot of that is good. I think a lot of that is like good stuff. Actually, is my understanding from listening from the Turtle Heads.
All right, the Turtle Heads.
Taylor in the chat vindicating my extreme vendetta against Venus Sailor Moon. Just like I watched like 150 episodes of Venus Sailor Moon, and I was just like, "Who are you? Who are you?"
Okay, so here's the thing.
Sucky, but less. Continue.
Oh god, I forget the creator of Sailor Moon's name, but Sailor Venus was the first one. That originally was Sailor V, and then Sailor Moon came afterwards and had Sailor Venus join as a side character in that.
I'm aware of her history. It doesn't make her any less. So she's just proto Usagi. She's just pointless.
I mean, yeah, exactly.
She's really up Kmart Usagi, just there for 200 episodes.
She's the Oswald the Lucky Rabbit of Mickey Mouse.
She's nothing.
I mean, I think the joke is that she's very similar.
Right.
Yeah. And then, but then, like, who's Sailor Moon character are you? Are you one of the two? Are you Marzu Usagi? You have defined personality. Are you the nerd or are you tall? I like.
Your characteristic is tall.
She's also like
about it.
Jupiter is definitely more muscular than the others.
Sure.
And tall.
Yeah.
And then bummed about it, because they cover that in her first 2 episodes, and then she does nothing for the rest of the show. Oh my god, I just wanted them to like have episodes devoted to like individual Sailor Scouts. Like, okay, here we're gonna have an episode that's diving into Jupiter's internality, but they never do that. They don't do that.
Have you watched all of Sailor Moon?
I watched 3 seasons of Sailor Moon.
Okay.
I know they do that with the extra ones. I know Saturn and Uranus and everyone get internality. But the main ones,
Yeah, I've only for whatever reason I've only actually watched to completion seasons 3 and 5.
And I'm that weirdo that actually just doesn't care about Sailor Moon.
Polly, you obviously didn't grow up in the 90s.
Obviously not. No, like, when Sailor Moon was the thing, like, I was that cool kid that already had, like, Ghost in the Shell and Ninja Scroll on VHS. And, look, I've posted my previous VHS anime collection on Twitter in the past, okay?
Polly,
people know what I was watching in 1995.
Even that screenshot you did of, like, the stuff you were getting rid of was like, oh, I got a little aroused seeing those Tenchi Ovas.
I kept those. I still have those. I'm not getting rid of those because the Tenchi OVAs, those
were really important to you.
Those have a special place in my heart.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I really liked Hardcatch Precure. I think I watched 3 fucking seasons of Sailor Moon. Hardcatch Precure is better in every fucking way. I still basically liked Sailor Moon. It's weird because it's like one of those things where they are specifically, the discussion is based on like which of these very distinct characters are you, when like my main issue watching the show for so long was like they're not differentiating these girls sufficiently. And Heartcatch is so good about that.
Okay, but one of them has blue hair. I mean, what more do you need? And she likes computers.
Blue hair is a character trait.
Computers. It's more than Venus gets. She's blonde.
I mean, there's literally jokes at some point where like they dress up as each other, and like I think Venus does the pigtails, and the villains can't tell the difference or something.
Wow, it's almost like she doesn't need to be there at all.
Listen, there's a lot of planets.
There's a lot of planets.
You're not wrong. Of all of the planets, Venus is definitely one.
Yeah, we definitely need 5 characters for this first season. Let's go.
We can't leave any. Yeah, Zella's watching a bunch of Precure and not even Heartcatch and having a really good time. So that is my line in the sand is I like Precure.
Gotcha.
Hey John, did you know the new one has a mermaid?
I do know the new one has a mermaid.
God, I was so close to watching that. Like I literally started episode 1, got like 30 seconds in, was like, maybe not right now, and then it's
I know that feeling when you're like, I know what I'm here for right now, and then you're like, ooh.
and it's not commitment.
Ooh, maybe not.
But then it was like that was when like 8 episodes had aired, and now there's probably like 25 or so because I think they've done 2 seasons. Because those things are all like 50 episodes long. They run for 1 year, and then the new one starts. So like now that
it just goes.
They just go. So now that it's not like reasonable to immediately catch up on and watch week to week, I'm like, fading fast.
Gotcha.
Maybe I'll just watch the one you
watch Heartcatch. It rules.
Heartcatch. It's also 50 episodes. I would never recommend somebody watch a magical girl show that's like 50 episodes long.
Oh yeah, you wouldn't recommend an actual magical girl show that's 50 episodes long. You'd recommend a weird shonen mech idol thing instead.
It's everything you want in one show.
At least that one. At least that last season.
It's everything you'd want to make you want to watch Precure.
So vicious.
Rat! I know you just got dumpstered, but you You got anything else you want to talk about?
The funny thing is that my transition was going to be a Symphogear joke anyways.
Well, look, man. Like that's what you call good podcasting chemistry.
All right, everybody. Content warning Symphogear.
So last episode, though, Polly watched the 5th season, and I'm kind of realizing, we're just not going to talk about Symphogear on the podcast anymore.
Symphogear's run its course on the podcast, Rhett.
So what if I talk about maybe the next best thing?
Uh-oh.
What's that?
We have Symphogear at home.
I've got Kmart Symphogear, kind of.
All right, tell us about Kmart Symphogear.
It's really not... Okay. I watched a show called Vivi, Fluorite Eyes' Song. So for the rest of this, we'll just call it Vivi, because that's what everybody does, because the subtitle is absolutely weird.
Right.
Okay.
The show opens so strangely that it's almost kind of sad to spoil what the fuck happens. Mm. So the show starts, it's like in a futuristic amusement park, and immediately robots start killing people.
I mean, what else are robots gonna do?
That's really kind of their job description.
Yeah.
So it's like literally like 40 seconds into the show and there's bodies hitting the ground, and it's a little gnarly. Like, Symphogear also starts with a concert massacre.
Yeah.
But it's not literally instantly. There is some setup and a song, and then shit goes wrong. This just cold opens with it. Like,
when you open your show with just a lot of murder, like let's take for instance the classic Elfin Lied.
Oh god,
maybe that's a good foot to get started on.
Nothing is on that level. I wouldn't want to oversell it. That is harrowing amounts of blood and violence and dismemberment, to which nothing has ever lived up to.
I don't know if you heard my deeply satisfied sigh there, just like contented sigh, like remembering the first 7 minutes of Elfin Lied.
It's still really good.
We'll always have the first 7 minutes.
We will always have the first 7 minutes of Elfin Lied. Continue, Rhett.
Anime just isn't as good as in 2005.
They just don't make it the same anymore.
They certainly don't make it the same as Elfin Lied.
Nope. I don't know. I think some of that DNA stuck around for the worst, honestly.
Okay, so anyways, so it's the future and robots are killing people, and a scientist activates a thing, and he entrusts the hope of humanity to someone we don't know yet.
Okay.
So the premise of this show is Vivi, our main character, is a robot. Like, she's the world's first self-autonomous AI.
Mm-hmm.
And she's living 100 years prior to the scene we just saw.
Oh.
Okay. They explain later that they found... They totally just hand-waved this away real quickly. We found out that we could send data to androids in the past.
Okay.
That's their time travel thing.
Let's Steins Gate this shit.
They really just kind of don't worry about it too much. So she's 100 years in the past, and that the year is 2060.
Mm-hmm.
And she gets given this mission to save the future. So over the next 100 years, she has to intervene in catastrophic events in history that led to the development of AI and kind of guide things towards a better future as best as she can.
Interesting.
Also, her current job, though, is a singer at an amusement park. So she's a blue-haired android that sings. And it's just this is definitely pushing a lot of my buttons.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so despite the fact that this show is about the development of AI and androids and how that leads to a bad future,
mm-hmm.
They don't really actually ever get into that thematically. This is not a hard science fiction show. It's very much science fantasy. And there's a lot of action, actually, and it's a very fun ride for me. It was definitely this isn't Symphogear, but it sure hit a lot of those buttons. And it's it is insanely well produced. It's done by Studio Wit, who I think did the Attack on Titan.
Oh yeah, yeah. That show probably looks incredible then.
So it's really nice looking. And
Red, I'm feeling some feelings seeing this character design.
Uh-oh.
Oh yeah,
feelings.
She's not
Continue.
like your typical anime. I think she
Yeah.
wears a suit for a lot of the show as well.
Oh, you have piqued my interest.
Yeah, I really like the main character. But the problem is, like, when the whole show is about, like, development of AI, and, like, she just kind of acts like a person the entire show from the get-go. It's a little funny. Like, and then there's a whole thing where, like, all of the female androids are very, you know, perfect human looking. And then a couple of the guys are, like, the robots in PSO, where they're just huge, like, geometric shapes.
Yeah, just Lego blocks.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, I can see where you guys maybe had a little bit of your priority.
Yeah, that's kind of always the case with these things.
But, like, so the show is just, like, none of it is, like, a one-off episode. It's very arc-focused. So, like, nothing ever gets resolved in one episode. So it's just... And even though the show is only 13 episodes, the fact that she has to travel through, like, 100 years worth of development, like, they call it the 100-year journey. And it's just... I don't know how to put it into words. I just really like this show, actually.
Aww. Yay.
Like, it ended really strongly. And it was just like, oh no. This is one that's going to get stuck in me for, like...
Oh, no. Oh, okay.
A while.
That's good. That's good.
In a good way, though.
Yeah, but, like I was wondering if, like... Symphogear had maybe ruined anime for you for a while or something. No, Rhett can love again.
I mean, that has happened with other shows, but, like, this one, because of who animated, like, is on such a high level that it's like, listen, Symphogear's nice looking, but it's not going to have, like, real
like
technical action like this.
The fact that Wit is behind this is like, oh, I probably need to get this on my watch list then.
I mean, I was like, boy, I think I like this enough to, like, immediately rewatch it. I wonder if I could talk Polly into watching something.
Yeah, this is something I would probably watch with you, yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But then the one thing I was grumpy about was, like, this already on my anime list has, like, 3 times as many viewers as Symphogear Season 1.
Right.
And it's like, oh, this ended airing in, like, June.
Yeah.
You're saying in, like, a month, this did 3 times Symphogear numbers for the last 9 years.
Yeah.
And it has a score in, like, the top 100 right now. So I'm like,
it's bonkers.
That's a little fucking crazy. Like, but then I finished it and was like, yep, giving it a 9. Fuck it. It was really good. Like, I think if you, like, you could you could, like, poke a lot of holes in it, like, plot wise, and, like, it's a little goofy and maybe takes itself pretty seriously. But it still all kind of came together for me in a really fun way.
Cool.
And it was funny because I was like, boy, I sure am playing, like, a lot of sequels to things of, you know, Yakuza, Trails, like, and, like, a lot of the anime I'm watching, like, I mentioned Beastars Season 2 last week, and some others, where it's like, I sure am going for, like, really safe bets. Hey, let's watch an anime original. Oh shit, it fucking ruled.
You're rewarded by the universe for kind of stepping outside the...
Not even that... That's the thing. It was not at all stepping outside of comfort zone, because it was, like...
It's so Symphogear adjacent.
It was recommended to me by, like... Not specifically me, but, like... I heard Symphogear fans talking about it. Even though, like, its popularity has absolutely nothing to do with that. Because it has already infinitely surpassed that level of popularity. But it's like, oh, yeah, it's really good. Just some really solid arcs in there with characters will learn to like. And then the show's also really sad.
Beepner in the chat mentioned Casher Sins, and that's kind of the vibe I'm getting just from, like, the tone you're talking here.
I think, like, someone did, like, you know, my anime list has, like, similar 2 shows. No one has said Symphogear, but I think Casher Sins is in there.
Yeah. Casher Sins is dope.
Because, that show is kind of like the world is already ended.
Yeah, it's done.
This is like... It's funny, though, because she herself is an AI trying to stop the AI from destroying the world eventually. So she's kind of torn between those 2 factions. But also, the humans are kind of dicks, too. As they always are.
I mean, that's the world we live in.
Yep. So yeah, that's my little like anime recommendation.
That sounds really solid. Yeah, like we could absolutely watch that sometime.
Cool.
John!
That's me.
Yeah, that is. Amazingly, it's still you.
Despite everything.
Despite everything, really.
I have 2 more itch games to talk about.
Alrighty.
I told you, we're getting back to fucking basics. We're away from just away from all this long form JRPG bullshit. Like, throw that all in the trash.
Get it out of here.
VNs, no thank you.
No.
I want to play little itch games. So I'm going to talk about John D. Moore's Caverns of Kron.
Okay. Okay.
So this is Solidarity, a Monuments of Mars inspired platformer.
Oh, what? What? Yep. Oh man, this is like this is the coolest thing you could have pulled here, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, given your history here, I think this is the coolest thing you could have pulled.
No, I've known John for a while. I've played several of his games. I like Orbital Paladin Melchior.
Oh
that's
yeah,
on the front of his page.
I have that downloaded.
It's just a dope Gundam inspired VN that also has action sequences. Like, oh shit, this rules.
Yep.
Monster Hug is very cute.
Mm-hmm.
So I just saw sorry. I just saw this and was like, oh shit, yeah. Well, I want to play my friend's a different friend, because I did Fugitive, which was my Monuments of Mars, lightly Monuments of Mars inspired game. It was more Mega Man, but it pulled a lot from the aesthetic. This is a lot more actually inspired by like classic, by Monuments of Mars and classic DOS games, I think, where it's a bunch of single screen challenges. There's a lot of flipping switches, a lot of like the relationship you have with enemies is very interesting, where they all have like different behaviors, where like some of them are you can't kill, and there's just you have to navigate around them. So each of these rooms is just a neat little puzzle, and there's a nice balance, I think, between ones that are kind of a pain in the butt and then ones that are pretty easy that you slide through pretty quickly. So it kept me from getting too frustrated at any given point. I think there's probably a little too much like waiting on platforms for its own good. That kind of dies off in the back half. And then kind of most interestingly, like just looking at the screen caps, I think gives you a big impression of it. But in like the last third, they just started introducing like bullet hell patterns.
Oh, okay.
And it suddenly started feeling a lot like Bullet Phase, and I was like, oh shit, this is a platformer texture that I don't get to experience very often. I like this a lot. But yeah, it's just a fun little hour-long romp, I think. I had it times you, and I had like 50 minutes and like 100 deaths on the clock at the end.
Oh, nice.
There's a couple bonus levels too. But this is just a fun, nice time. This is probably my favorite time I've had with John's games. I haven't played Explobers, which is the very Lemmingsy one, as I understand it. But that's like his big one, if you want to look at that on the Itch page. So I had a fun time. That's Caverns of Kron. The next big one. This is my last thing of the thing, but I played Extreme Meat Punks Forever, Bound by Ash.
Here we go. Yeah, this one's big.
Yeah, this is a meaty one. So I was sorry, I need to cough again. I would contextualize myself as like a medium fan of the first Meat Punks game. My experience with Heather's games was that I played them in like 2016 or so and was kind of not vibing with them, and then like ever since then she just keeps coming out with new stuff, and every time I like them more and more and more and more. And I feel like Extreme Meat Punks Forever Season 2, I'll go ahead and say, is where I'm like fully sold now.
Cool.
And it feels that then You Are a Wizard last year or the year before.
Right.
So Extreme Meat Punks Forever, the premise is that everybody is piloting mechs made of meat, which is already great.
Yep.
So they like climb into these like mechs that are just like viscera and bones.
Ugh.
And they stab their neck down onto a nerve spike so that they can just directly plug themselves into these meat mechs and then kill other people piloting their own meat mechs.
I don't think you have a cooler set of words right now than meat mech.
Mm-hmm. It's very good. So the tone, I think, of these games is important to say is they deal with some dark subject matter, but the tone is very breezy and kind of light. It's very funny also. But generally, like, the world of Meat Punks is like, there are just, like, you're constantly fighting fascists and cops as you run, who are also piloting meat mechs.
That's
and you
very good.
It's very good. All four of the main characters are relentlessly queer and messed up. And the way they bounce off each other is very fun and interesting. They feel very distinct. I like the cast a lot. The action is in the first season. I think the action feels clunky, but in a way that's kind of endearing to me. You don't kill enemies by lowering their HP. You have to knock them over the side. There's always like a ravine or a river or something in the levels, and you beat enemies by knocking them off into the river and killing them. So this is a lot of good fash bashing.
Yeah.
So I would say that if I had a negative reaction with the first Meat Punks game, it was parts of it feeling a little rushed for the kind of intense emotions they were processing. Like, a character talks about depression and it kind of goes a little too quickly for me. And then secondly, that it feels very much like the first chapter of a larger story, which is a recurring theme on our show.
Yeah.
But like, I came away from the end of the first season like, that was pretty good, but like, it does have a very satisfying climax. I think it has a dope last fight with a very cool music gimmick to how it presents itself, and a cool mechanical gimmick. But it still doesn't quite feel like a complete arc, I think. Bound by Ash, the second season, has like twice the word count. Still very punchy, still like only a couple hours. 10 times the budget, because this game got kickstarted.
Right.
They point that budget in a handful of ways. The new character art is very pretty in season 2. There are a handful of unique CGs, a handful of animated sequences. The combat sections are much more polished. They pull in Colin Horgan, who did the combat in Luca.
Yep.
To do the combat for Meat Punk season 2, and it feels really good. It doesn't feel like Luca. It feels like they took the feel of Meat Punk season 1 and retained it, but just like tightened everything up. Like, there's more animation cues before enemies attack you. It's all just a little bit cleaner and clearer. And there was one moment of empowerment mechanically that had me yelling in one of the later episodes, that had me yelling "fuck yeah" at my screen.
That's always a good feeling.
And they also have, unlike the first Meat Punks, they have a handful of like one-off bits, like play bits. Like at the end of episode 2, there's a rhythm game section.
Oh.
Where how well you perform does not matter at all, but it plays. Because it's a punk band, and the point isn't to play well; it's to play with feeling.
They do that in Night in the Woods too. It's very cute.
Hell yeah! Oh my god, it rules. And then in episode 3, you get to a new town, and then you actually can explore the town with a top-down JRPG language.
Oh, neat.
And you can go around and talk to people, and it's like it keeps hitting you with like cute little moments like that. There's a point where somebody else plays a very like heartfelt song, and it's very moving. It sounds like the end of a VN song, like a really good one, but like every verse you pick what the next verse is going to be about. So
neat.
they're like, you like are dynamically making this like really moving song. So I think the big takeaway with my experience with this one is just like they set up some actually pretty juicy character conflicts and play them out fully in a way the first season didn't really nail for me. Like there's a guy who's a shithead in a way that's subtle, and the way it plays out is very well done and felt very real to me. And the last episode is, when you're jumping, when like in a really good movie or something where you're jumping between like three sets of characters that are all doing like their own story thing, and like character arcs are resolving in the context of big action, and it just feels like you're getting bukkake all over with story. Like you're it's just story just hitting you over and over and over. And in this case, a lot of that story is also in the context of dope action set pieces because Colin really likes platinum games. You're like fighting enemies while going up a big elevator, and it's in this pretty Unity art as the floor sinks way out from under you. So like I don't want to oversell it or anything. It's also still not the end of the story. There's a third season apparently planned, although that's probably getting delayed because they just successfully kickstarted Meat Punk's The Tabletop RPG.
Oh right, yeah.
Oh jeez.
Which rules. I think that's great. Yeah. I think it's a great setting for that. It's not really my thing.
Yeah.
But I'm very happy for it. And then it apparently succeeded very quick. The Kickstarter apparently succeeded very quickly, so I'm optimistic that the next one is going through. But it wasn't like the end of the story, but it felt way more like a full season of television with a satisfying finale.
That's good.
I played this right after Yinglet.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh yeah, this is what I want. This is what I'm here for games for from games for right now.
I like the contrast on Twitter with your reactions to both of those.
Like, oh, this is cute. I like this. This is a fun little platformer thing. It was a nice language. Oh my god!
You're literally screaming at your lungs out while playing Meat Punks.
So like, I don't know. I like I said, I felt a little bit disconnected from friends when everyone had a very strong reaction to the first Meat Punks, because I was still like a little bit held back. I played it through twice. I played through it again before doing this one.
Yeah.
Because you bring over choices from the first arc.
That's always a good thing.
Oh my god, there's some epic as hell beats in the last episode. It's really good. But one last thing that came away from it was like, I felt like really at home in the character dynamics here, and I've been hanging out with queer people a lot. I've been talking about queer politics a lot. I've been thinking about politics a lot, and I realized like how at home I felt in the dynamics of Meat Punks and like among those characters, and it was sort of, it actually had like caused like a little bit of an epiphany, like, oh, I really am part of the queer community.
Oh, you got your card finally. It arrived in the mail. It took a couple years, but you got it.
It was just like, oh,
somebody finally threw you in the queer hole with us.
This feels nice. This is nice. I was thinking about some older queer family and like how their whole life arc and the ways that it was so very different from like
things the way they are now.
Family.
Right? Yeah, and just the way those dynamics are played out differently today.
Yeah, and just the ways that I always connected with that and was like, oh, this is really nice. And I was just like, feeling like, and coming right off of releasing like a very, very queer book and game.
Yeah.
I was just like, I felt like
validated.
I felt validated. I felt like I'm part of a creative conversation. With games like this and Luca and Genray stuff and Anodyne and like. It feels like the queer games right now does not feel like it's a miserable cult of personality fest like it was at the start of 2010.
Yeah,
2010.
from like 2010 to about 2017, I think that space was, for me anyway, largely insufferable, and I just stayed out of it. Because it was very focused on cults of personality who, I'll not get into it. I'll
No, it sucks.
Yeah.
Whether it's actual predators or like big focuses who are just celebrated and boosted, or like strong focuses on being a part of the larger game community, like getting Polygon write-ups or just like extreme focuses on production values and stuff like that. Like Meat Punks was a $20,000 Kickstarter. It's not on Steam. It's just on itch.io.
Yeah.
It does not give a shit about being part of the larger games community. It's just I'm sure it wants to make money and whatnot. It is just relentlessly queer and out there and anti-establishment in a way that it doesn't feel like it's fishing for
like
it doesn't feel like it's fishing for cred either.
Yeah, you definitely get that feeling from these spaces sometimes, where they may go in with better intentions but come out the other side kind of wanting that bigger validation through a more mainstream audience. And God bless you if you get it, I guess, but it's easy to see when that's being fished for.
Yeah, where the queers are a stepping stone to larger successes.
Exactly.
There's something just like I don't want to put this game on a pedestal. I think there's a lot of games like this being made right now where it's not fishing for cred. It's not part of a. It feels like a space outside of the kind of like outside of a lot of that bullshit.
Yeah, well, look at Nami's works. I think that those pretty much
absolutely
like Nami's works absolutely speak for themselves in that. Like, she's like, if she wanted to be, she could be a much, much, much bigger presence in that larger game space. She's interestingly chosen to keep pretty low profile and just, hey, if you find it, you find it. And she just gets a lot of word of mouth that gets her stuff popular, and it's all worth it. It's good shit.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I like just a ton of my friends' games, like fucking like Slimes and Silas, and like there's so much unabashedly, like there's so much art that actually like just engages with queer stuff. And I'm working a big tech job in Chicago. Like, it's very easy to feel like completely disconnected from a lot of that.
Yeah.
But where I'm just like going day to day into this very, very straight space.
Yeah.
And I had a personal moment with this game in addition to it being just thrilling as a story. And lastly, one of the most like fucking professional, on point, getting it done Kickstarter games. Like, this got Kickstarted, and then like a year later, here it is. We did it.
It is done. Get it out of here. Yeah. Go play.
They did not overscope. They knew exactly what game they wanted to make, and then they fucking made it. Yep. And they used the money in smart ways. Like, that's intensely admirable in the space of Kickstarter games, and I think it is. I think it's something to keep in the back of our heads the next time when season 3 comes out. Is like, oh shit, they fucking deliver.
Yeah.
Because I think that's very admirable and rare in game spaces. Because games are one of the most easy things to overscope on and then just lose yourself in trying to deliver on your bloated promises.
Making games is hard, people.
It's very hard.
You know. It's yeah. Like, I remember pulling scope on Poly Dungeon. and pulling that shit back.
God, it feels good, doesn't it? Doesn't it feel so good when you have that epiphany, like, oh,
I just don't have to make this other half.
Oh shit, it can just be much smaller.
It's just funny thinking that like Bullet Phase also went for the same thing where I cut that game like either half or a quarter of what I originally scoped it out to be. It was just like, so even stuff like Poly Dungeon or that, we overscope.
Yeah.
And I had made a lot of big games by that point, and it's still really easy to just accidentally overcommit.
Yeah.
When in reality, a lot of times being smaller actually benefits the story more.
Yeah.
Meatpunks is so dense, like especially coming out of like releasing the very slow burn, like focused on 2 people thing. Playing this thing that is like, okay, we've got our big story beats, and we are gonna have some quiet time. We're gonna have enough quiet time to make it land, but we're gonna move a lot of things. It feels more like movie paced.
Yeah.
Which is cool for an action VN. Like, it's just very dope. It's a cool world. I'm very excited for season 3, and I'm excited to see the climax of this journey, especially considering how wild it already gets.
Yeah,
that's it. That's for me.
Cool.
Poly.
Well, I guess I'll close this out here with a couple of video games. I'm not really, I guess, dove into anything to kind of like, commit to it yet or anything. I mean, I guess maybe you put 25 hours into a game. Maybe that's a bit of a commitment. but I've not played anything that I've finished, or that I could say that I've done. But we'll start with the new Mario Golf video game.
Oh wow!
Yeah, Mario Golf Super Rush. That's been out for a while. Couple weeks, a month or so, maybe.
Tell us about this.
I kind of got roped into it because I played it with somebody. I was like, oh wait, fucking Mario Golf is fun. The last Mario Golf game I played was like Toadstool Tour on GameCube, and that game's pretty dope. But I mean, it's Mario Golf. It's just golf. It's a golf game with like Mario themed obstacles, and Mario themed special shots. Like Mario's got a Starman and he hits the ball real hard. Rosalina, she hits the ball and it's carried by star bits. But guess what? This game's got Rosalina, so that means you can buy it and feel really safe that your purchase is worthwhile because Rosalina is fantastic.
Rosalina is very good.
Like, we love Rosalina. Like, I haven't played as anybody else.
Oh.
On this look. I'm not big on Mario right now. On this podcast, we love Rosalina.
We love Rosalina, absolutely. Yeah, like this is just super fun, streamlined, easy to pick up and play golf. When I think about trying to make a golf fucking video game, all right, but I think they got to be the smartest people alive, the people that make golf video games, because of all of the physics that you have to account for. And like when I think back to like all the golf games that I've played in my life, I think, man, the smartest people on the fucking planet had to make that, because that's just bonkers when you consider how many factors actually affect a fucking golf ball.
Holy shit.
It's just mind-numbing to think about from a coding standpoint. But this is just streamlined, simple fucking golf. Like, they even removed things like that make golf like really hard and boring. Like the pin, like the pin and the hole are actually on the power meter, so that when you're swinging for it, you always kind of know where you're trying to land the ball.
Interesting.
Rather than that's such a simple fucking thing that I don't understand why it's not been in any other golf game that I've played. I don't even know that Neo Turf Masters did that on the Neo Geo, and I consider that to be like a really fucking up there high quality golf game. But yeah, like they just put the hole in the pin on the damn, so you always know where you're swinging, even if you aren't scoping out your shot, which you can. This game has that depth. Like, it's got a range and depth finder where you can actually like pull it out and like aim at the green and like get an idea, like what's the incline there, what am I looking at, if I put the ball here, what kind of, like, should I put some backspin on it? It's got all that shit. You don't have to engage with any of it if you don't want to. If you just want to play some fucking golf and have a good time, All you gotta do is hit that fucking A button a lot. But like other things like the rough grass and sand traps don't really affect the power you put on a shot, but they do affect the shot curve a bit. I think that's maybe like the deepest you get, and like putting, it's like where it all comes down to it. It's just like just judging the shot, and you know, like the more you play a course, the more you play the game, you get better at just judging that shit. And it's just a stupid fun, really arcadey golf game that's a goddamn blast with people. Like, it feels really good. Like, I don't know what else you can say about the game other than like, like most of the other content's really bad. Like adventure mode is this really bad like RPG type thing where you have your Mii and you raise them over the course of like doing various single player challenges and one-off stuff. I didn't care about it. And there's like separate solo challenges you can do, which again just didn't, like, I would rather just play some golf. Like, I don't care about these weird challenges you're trying to do or the bad RPG you want me to play. And thankfully, you don't have to do any of that to open anything. Like, you unlock all of the courses and stuff by just playing regular golf. Like, you just go, play 18 holes on a course, you immediately unlock the next one. Just boom. You're done. The game's got 6 courses. The game's currently got 6 courses. I think there's like 21 characters, and they're doing free DLC down the line. For like, I think there's 2 more courses and 3 more characters, I think I heard.
Nice.
But other than that, like I think that like the thing they really wanted it to be the big deal here, which is in the name, Super Rush, is they wanted the speed golf stuff to be a really big deal here. And it's like where you hit the ball, and then you have to run to where your ball is at, and then keep hitting it. It's basically golf, but you have to run to your ball, and other people can knock you down and slow you down and bump into you. And I don't understand the point here, because speed isn't actually the way you win. It's still all based on your golf score. So all of the running between hitting your ball doesn't mean a fucking thing. It's pointless.
I'm honestly kind of dumbfounded now, because I thought, of course, first to the hole wins.
It's literally called speed golf. But it literally takes 20 more minutes to play than an actual 18 holes of golf.
Oh my god. I thought like this is a thing that might be funny in multiplayer if you're like whacking each other, trying to slow each other down. You maybe aim your ball at somebody to slow them down.
Yeah, like, and all of the power shots are based on shit like that. But it's still, like, at the end of the day, none of that running around bullshit, it doesn't matter if you do it faster.
Oh my god.
It just matters if you have the better golf score. So, like, what's the fucking point?
I thought, you know what they should do? I was like, they should put some golf carts on there. Make it Mario Kart golf.
There you go. They should.
Run each other over.
But it's just...
That's bizarre.
Yeah,
that's honestly confusing me.
But I honestly think that, like, the core golf game that's here, I enjoy playing a lot. I think that, like, there's still a lot of value here if you just play this by yourself and want to get really good at a golf game. It obviously shines when you're playing with other people, way more. And that's where its strength lies. And I think that's kind of probably the case with all the Mario sports games. Like, I think Mario Tennis is pretty good, too. But all of those things are just really fun if you have people to play them with. But I think that this works, like, if you like the actual, you know, like, the actual golf game where you're figuring out a course and, like, the lay of the land and, like, how the lay of your ball is going to affect your shot and how you've got to aim against it. If you like deducing all that shit, which I'm having a good time doing, this game's still got a lot to offer, even if, like, you're not going to engage with adventure mode or anything. It's a good ass golf game. I think, like, its improvements probably make it a better game than Toadstool Tour. But I still have a lot of fond memories of Toadstool Tour too. Like, if they would just, like, remake Toadstool Tour with some of these mechanics, man, instant day one there for me, probably.
I like every now and then the poly sports game fan
Yeah.
coming out, because that's a whole world.
Yeah.
It is like that. Like there are sports games that I enjoy.
There are quite a few.
It's
really
cool.
cool.
Like we'll go over a few of them. We'll just name them. We got
for
time. Like, okay, NES best hockey game, Blades of Steel, fantastic.
Yep.
Baseball Stars, best baseball game on the NES, fan-fucking-tastic. Tecmo Super Bowl, best football game on the system. Moving to SNES, Ken Griffey Jr.'s presents Major League Baseball, fantastic baseball game. Hockey, you want a great hockey game? NHL 95 or 96. I think 94 is boring. Sorry, people. You can spit
roast me for that.
Get NHL 94 hockey fans.
Like, I think that people like NHL 94 mostly because it has fights. And they took those out of 95 and on because the NHL wanted to improve their image.
Interesting.
But I think 95 and 96 were, like, the most fun that I've had. Like, I've played full seasons of both of those games. So, I like those games a lot. Let's see. NBA Jam. Always going to be a big NBA Jam fan. NFL Blitz 2000 is a great football game. Yeah, NHL Hits is pretty good too. So yeah, I got some sports game in me. If I could play Blades of Steel against people online, man, I would love like that. I love that game to pieces, but like I can cream the computer just without even thinking about it. Like, yeah, there you go. There's a cute little.
What is the best baseball game?
The best baseball game? I mean, overall.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to give it to Griffey on SNES. Ken Griffey Jr. presents Major League Baseball. Not Winning Run. Winning Run is garbage. Stay away from that.
What's the one we realized I had?
I think you had Winning Run, which was the Rare, the one made by Rare that used
that sounds right.
pre-rendered graphics, and it's really bad.
Mm-hmm.
But presents Major League Baseball is fantastic. And it's got that fucking awesome Tim Follin score too. So,
Ken Griffey Jr.'s Winning Run is the bad one.
Yeah, that's the bad one.
Okay, there's a different Ken Griffey Jr.
Yeah. The first one they did was Presents Major League Baseball. I played that one a lot with my dad too. It was really good. Good times. Good times. All right. And I played one more game.
Sports game. Go for it.
I played one more game to wrap us up here. I started a journey earlier this year, but I pulled back because it got really complicated and weird.
Oh, right.
Who remembers this?
I don't. I mean, I remember it being a nightmare.
Yeah, it was an absolute nightmare. It was Mary Skelter nightmares. So we found out that it was like, there's a Switch version. There's only a Switch version of Mary Skelter 2, and now Mary Skelter 2 is the first game. Uh-oh. So if I keep playing this PC game, I'm gonna be out of the loop if I continue going, because they used Mary Skelter 2 to change the ending of Mary Skelter 1, which is included with this new version of Mary Skelter 2 on Switch exclusively. They didn't port the.
I'm feeling my brain shrink up all over again.
They didn't port the PS4 version because it's bad. It crashes all the time bad, and they just never fixed it. Which is funny, because I had to get Mary Skelter Finale for PS4, because guess what happened?
I got this.
The Switch version is bad! They, the graphics look like they're out of, an early PS2 game. They took out, all the lighting and definition. Everything's I don't know what happened here. Because Mary Skelter 2 performs just fine. How did you fuck up? What did you do? So yeah, I'm playing Mary Skelter 2, and this is that kind of weird retelling / reboot, I guess, where this is the first game. I'm 25 hours in, and I'm still not sure how that's playing out. I'm thinking they're going to do something really weird and meta with all this, because there's got to be a reason they're doing this. It feels very intentional and calculated. So, you know what? Compile Heart and Idea Factory have been okay on stories before. They did Mega Nep, it's good, right? So this story is very
just clinging to Mega Nep like a beacon in the darkness.
I have to, because if I look at much of anything, I can give Idea Factory credit where it is due. They at least try to do something different every time out, even if it falls on its face.
Aw.
Like every game, every RPG they've done, like they could have just used that net battle system and driven it into the ground, and people would still buy their games.
I mean, they kind of did with the the remakes.
Sure, but when they moved on to doing other things like Death End Request or Mary Skelter or Dragon Star Varnir or Rose Valkyrie, like every one of those has something weird and different that they're doing with their battle systems, and they're trying to, like, they're always trying something different. Okay, I'll at least give Idea Factory that they have ideas.
Did you name like every Idea Factory game from the last like 10 years?
Yes, I did.
Wait, did you skip the Idle one?
Oh, what was that name? I don't remember.
I know the name of that one.
Yeah, you do. I don't remember.
But nobody.
Omega Quintet.
Omega Quintet. Right.
Very good.
All right, between us. All right, between all of us, we have
the entire Idea Factory pantheon.
Ollie, I think you might like Idea Factory.
No.
Well,
I like a very certain subset, very specific Idea Factory.
You said they've got ideas, and that first Neptunia game, it also has factories.
It does! Those Rebirth games got a lot of factories, actually.
The same one, actually, over and over.
Yeah!
But look, Paul, I'm not saying that you have to think that they're good, but, like, you know how I kind of like Sword Art Online or Ruby or Suikoden?
John, like, you don't kind of like Ruby.
Like, my heart is open. They have a place in my heart, and I feel like Idea Factory has a place in your heart.
Okay, I agree with that.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Despite everything.
I'll give you that. Okay.
Continue.
Okay, so Mary Skelter 2, the story is very similar. Like, a city has been submerged, and it's turned into this weird jail where people are just captured and tortured, and we don't know why. And this time, the characters are Otsu and Little Mermaid, which I thought John would love. John would love Little Mermaid because, like, she is literally perfect John Thayer wife material. Like, Jesus Christ.
I'm gonna go ahead and Google this one.
Otsu and Little Mermaid are actually a gay couple. Like, they're just, like, out and out. Like, she is Little Mermaid's prince. She likes being her prince. And it's very adorable and very gay so far. And from my understanding, like, this isn't something that ever turns into a joke or anything. It's just like, hey, here's a gay relationship. It's not a big deal, you know. But then again, I think that like that they've always kind of been a little bit more progressive on that stuff, because even the Neptunia series is just like people like it's stated very openly, like, look, people marry people of the same sex all the time. It's not a big deal.
Nice.
So that's always cool. So the game starts with you actually rescuing the protagonists from the first game, Alice and Jack, from prison. And then some shit happens, and then you get split up, and we don't know where Alice and Red Riding Hood are now. They're gone. They're missing. What the fuck just happened? Alice had a freak out, wanted to start killing everybody, and we got everybody out of there. So each chapter, you kind of like it follows a very similar format to the first game, where each chapter you're recruiting a new girl, and we try to find, like, while we're looking for Alice and Red Riding Hood. And that's kind of like where we're at with the story right now. I'm still in the building my team phase, and we're gradually starting to learn, like, okay, what happened to everybody? Why are there this small subset of survivors? And, you know, we're still working out that whole Blood Maiden thing. So this is, this is that dungeon crawler with a survival horror element where, like, every floor, like, will have, like, a monster that relentlessly dogs you if you come within its range, and it will chase you until you either get out of its range or you have to fucking fight it and knock it down. And the conceit is that they're really fucking powerful and can probably fucking stomp you into the ground. So there's more of a focus on you get the fuck away. But in this one, like, you can get in random fights while that chase is happening, and he can catch up.
Oh no!
Yeah, it makes things feel a lot more stakesy now.
That sounds like the FOEs. Right?
Yeah, like, it's like FOEs, but it's an interesting evolution of that idea of that very powerful monster that you should avoid, but it's actually stalking you all the time. Until you, and it's not killable until you find the core at the end of the dungeon, and then you can actually go into the actual boss fight and kill it.
That's so satisfying. That rules.
It's such an interesting and, like I said, Idea Factory they're always doing interesting and cool things. I think, at least, like they're always trying to do something that's just a little more than the same battle system or the same set of mechanics all the time.
Would you put them above the Tokyo RPG Factory?
Yes.
Okay.
I think Tokyo RPG Factory just makes really boring. Hey, look, it's Chrono Trigger. Hey, look, we made that. Like I've never liked anything Tokyo RPG Factory's done.
I'm not sure anyone has ever liked anything Tokyo RPG Factory has done based on my timeline's experience.
So
what have they done? Sorry.
Go ahead.
What have they done besides Setsuna?
That death game that apparently handled death really bad and teaches you that, like, your traumas should define you, I guess.
Oh, Jesus.
It sounds like it was really, really badly handled.
Oof.
Ugh. But anyway, so yeah, you got that cool dungeon crawler. Like, the biggest change that they've made to the battle system is that in the original game, Jack was kind of a non-battle participant. He was the guy that, like, he had what was called the Mary gun, so that, like, when your girls started going crazy or out of control because of too much blood buildup, he would fire his gun at them and it would make them not be crazy anymore. That was sort of his role. And he still has that role this time, but he's actually tied to another character now. Like, they actually share, like when it's Otsu's turn, she's the character that Jack is attached to now, they have to act in tandem. So you get 2 turns when it's Otsu's turn, and you can either do 2 Otsu turns, 2 Jack turns, or 1 of each. So you have to kind of use this character at, like, she needs to be a viable member of your party, but like Jack, she is the only character that can do very vital things like use items, or you need to spend turns with her not attacking so that Jack can calm the other girls down. And if Jack does that too much, he goes crazy now, and he can kill your party. So you end up in this really cool balancing act of, like, how am I going to, like, you have a lot to think about in any battle you get into, because I think that they made the corruption a lot more quick in this game. So your characters, like, when they get blood build up on them, it's usually, like, it's just pink, but as they gain corruption, that pink color gets darker, and the darker it is, the more chance you have of that character going fucking berserk when they hit max blood. So you can either gamble on that and hope that you're not too dark, or you need to pull Jack out to do what he does. And another fail state that they've added is if Jack goes crazy 3 times in one battle, you just lose. He just goes berserk and kills everything.
Oh, weird. Okay.
So, like, I think that's, like, the fact that you have a character, like, she has to be an attacker early game because you don't have a lot of characters to play around with, but once the party's more fleshed out, she has to move back to a support role with Jack, and you have to kind of, like, smartly play their turns, because they also get their turns less because they're getting 2 turns at once, so the game balances that by their agility actually being halved, so that they don't act as many times as the other characters do. So there's a lot of really interesting, smart balance design here that really makes you have to stop and think, okay, how am I going to play this? I think that's really smart. The only other thing that they did was the way that a good way that you get equipment now, rather than randomly running into a shopkeeper, which they upped the encounter rate for that, thankfully. You run into a merchant pretty often now, even if you don't put any bonuses to make that happen. You have blood farming now. You can plant blood flowers and just grow your own equipment. And then harvest it, and, like, if you harvest it a certain way, like, you have a chance of, like, making weapons that you can't buy or you can't find under normal circumstances. So they incentivize you to play with that a lot, and it's just like, it only takes maybe 4 or 5 random fights for your blood garden to grow, and then you can go harvest all of your shit, and it's all randomly generated, of course. But it feels like that stuff does skew a little more in favor of the player. You do end up getting a lot of cool shit that, like, you can't get any other way. And I think that, like, in terms of like, if you're going to make an equipment system and you're going to make something that really kind of feels like it's tied into that world and utilizing, not only the sort of the way the world works, given this huge focus on blood, but actually using that to like plant and water a garden and having that kind of be the way that you get most of your good gear. I think that's a smart way to tie in a system like that. It's a little cumbersome, but again, like it's compile art. Things are going to be a little cumbersome. You expect a little jank when it comes to
idea. Expect some jank when it comes to IF.
Jank in a compile art game.
The other cool thing that they added is that you can sort of control the dungeon and the way that it behaves with you in terms of like, normally you're able to put down like a rabbit hole and you can just save anywhere, but like it now has like jail trials where you can disable saving in dungeons, but you get 30% more experience for it. You can you can start adding these little detriments to yourself. And like that stuff can like, it incentivizes you to want to play around with the game's mechanics a little more than you might. Like, you don't have to engage with this stuff. I don't think. Like, I'm not like the Blood Gardens. Maybe like I would definitely say like if you're gonna play, engage with the Blood Gardens because you're not going to get the kind of equipment you'll get out of that anywhere else. Because normal chests they don't drop altered items, whereas you can get items that are upgraded beyond what you can even upgrade them for back at base. Like, you can only upgrade to a plus 20 at base, but you can find items out in the fucking wild in a Blood Garden with like plus 60 to 90. So,
Jesus.
Yeah, it's like, it's a big fucking deal to do, and it's not even a lot of work. It's just, it's a couple of menus, fight a few random fights, and your garden's there. You're good. I think that there's a lot of smart stuff here. I think it feels like, and like the dungeon maps are a little more contained, and like I felt like the original PC version maps were maybe a little too sprawling at times, or maybe too twisty and turny. That like, because it's a dungeon crawl, you're looking at a lot of the same shit all the time. I think putting you in there for like 5 and 10 hours at a time in one dungeon is maybe a bit much. Which does worry me because I know that Mary Skelter Finale does kind of go back to that, where it's like it's larger floors but fewer of them. Whereas I kind of like these smaller bite-sized floors that are maybe like anywhere from 25 to 35 by 25 to 35, and those just kind of feel nicer. So yeah, like I think that like what this game's doing so far is good. Like the story and characters are as fun as you'd want them to be. Like the tone can be all over the place at times, but in general, like just I'm liking what's here. I'm probably gonna slow down a bit on it though. I kind of feel like with these games sometimes, especially with the Compile Heart Idea Factory versions of these. Where assets are just constantly recycled and reused, I think I might need take a week away from that, get your eyes looking at something a little more fresh, because I think it's easy to burn out on something like this. So yeah, I probably won't be talking about this game next time, because I think I've kind of had enough for now, but I know that I definitely want to come back to it. Yeah. But yeah, like I'm generally pretty excited to see like where this is going. Like I've reached chapter 5 this morning, and I think there's 10. I think. Not sure, but so like I think that's like a pretty good chunk into the game. 25 hours, and I'm still enjoying it. Like I think that like the class balance stuff feels okay. I think the only bad change that they made I don't like is that they added charge times and wait times to some spells and stuff. So a lot of magic can feel worthless because like I think that just casting something and it instantly going off is way more satisfying than like, oh, this might go off 2 turns, 3 turns later. And obviously like they're adding an element of strategy there. I get it. It's just a personal preference where I don't like waiting a lot, and in this game, and this is a game that's kind of hard. So when enemies get the opportunity to beat up on you, you're kind of cringing sometimes when those attacks are coming in. It's like, oh god, please live. But ultimately, like, this feels like a pretty well put together dungeon crawler, even if it's a little budgety, even if it's like a little silly at times. But I'm here for. Hey, the rubbing game's still in there. They didn't.
Oh,
leave,
thank God!
They didn't leave that out.
Thank God.
God, it's so bad. Why again?
Can you I wonder if you can do it on the Switch touchscreen.
Yes, you can.
Yes.
That's how I did it. You can also touch the girls on their status screen and they'll react to you.
It's a compile heart game.
Yeah,
sure.
Get your cheesecake in, folks. It's fine. It's fine. Like I said, like I think that whole like cleaning the blood off stuff would be a way better idea if the characters didn't like act like they weren't into it. I guess. Like if they were just like, because the whole idea is like everybody likes blood anyway. It's okay. It's fine. They're blood maidens, for crying out loud. So it's just like if they were just kind of like into it, or like a little less like they sounded less squicked out about it. I would feel better. But like once you do the rubbing thing once, you just go in and say like, okay, just do it. Just do the cleansing for me, and then it'll just be like, okay, there it is. We did it. But you have to do it with each character once. So yeah, Mario Golf and Mary Skelter 2. Who knew? Two great tastes to go great together.
Weird,
right?
So what's the plan if you finish Mary Skelter 2?
I'm probably going to just read the visual novel because Mary Skelter Finale is a package. Let me tell you.
Yeah. So it has a
It has visual novel remakes of Mary Skelter 1 and 2, which I'll probably just read the Mary Skelter 1
that makes
remake
sense.
and finale. And it also comes with a dating sim.
Oh boy.
Where that takes place in a high school, and you get to have little dates with all the blood maidens. I think that's fucking adorable, and they're just including it for free. It's just there. You have it. So, like, Mary Skelter Finale, along with just, like, getting the game itself, you get, like, 2 full visual novels and a cute little dating sim. I think that's adorable. And I only paid $50 for it.
That sounds very cute.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like, dungeon crawlers, they're good times. But I'm starting to think, like, you know what? Maybe I need to approach them a little differently and not go whole hog on them the way that I typically do normal games. Especially this one, because you just kind of need... I probably need to take... maybe a week away from it to kind of not continue seeing the same sights and sounds. Mm-hmm. That said, they changed the main battle theme, and I'm always a fan of that. When you get to a certain point in the game and the stakes change and they change the battle theme, like, I love it. You guys we are only halfway through the game and you're doing that? Fantastic. All right. So I think that's an episode.
Yes.
That's an episode, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank you all, of course, for downloading, sticking around, hanging out with us, being in chat, all that fun stuff. It always means a lot to us that you come out and hang out. And, of course, I want to thank our good friend Taylor once more for that amazing new theme song we have. It's rocking. It's going to do us real well over the next 5 or so years. I guarantee it. Yeah. It's nice. It's fresh. It kicks all kinds of ass, and we could not be happier with it. So thanks again, Taylor. John Thayer, tell the internet folks at home where they can find you.
Farawaytimes.itch.io. Play Facets V1.1 and read Wayward.
I agree. Rhett!
www.funimation.com/shows/Vivi-Fluoride song. You're not going to be able to actually type that.
No. Nailed it.
Is that a VTuber thing?
No,
that's the anime I was talking about.
Oh my God.
Instead of saying Crunchyroll slip for gear, I did.
It was so many words I didn't process.
I know.
Yeah.
Easy for your eyes. Not as elegant as of a URL. I just thought to do that right at the end.
All right. And with all of that, remember, we are the podcast that loves you. We are the only ones that love you. Stick around. I'm going to fire a host over to... Who's streaming? We're going to raid somebody. Who be streaming? Where are we at? you know what? My buddy Virus is over here. My buddy Viruse. He's working on Ninja Gaiden low percent, which means he's not picking up any special weapons at all. And we're going to send you over there. Everybody say hi to my good pal Viruse. And we will catch you next time. Much love, everybody. Thanks again for coming out. Y'all are the best.